I'd like to call to order the meeting of Monday, August the 14th. If the clerk would please take the roll.
Councilmember Archibald.
Here.
Councilmember Ashford.
Present.
Councilmember Harris.
Here.
Councilmember Lamb.
Here.
Councilmember Ruiz.
Here.
Councilmember Warden.
Here.
Mayor Rep.
Here. You have the minutes from the regular meeting of July the 10th before you. Is there a motion to receive and file?
So moved, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Ashford. Is there a second?
Second.
Councilmember Archibald. Is there any additions or deletions? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The minutes will stand as submitted. We have two presentations tonight. The first presentation, if the clerk would please read it.
Presentation of a proclamation recognizing September 2017 as National Recovery Month.
And that's going to be presented to Tony Samini, if he could meet me at the podium.
Oh.
Whereas behavioral health is an essential part of health and one's overall wellness, and whereas prevention of mental and substance use disorders works, treatment is effective and people recover in our area and around the nation, and whereas preventing and overcoming mental and substance use disorders is essential to achieving healthy lifestyles, both physically and emotionally. And whereas we must encourage relatives and friends of people with mental and/or substance abuse disorders to implement preventative measures, recognize the signs of a problem, and guide those in need to appropriate treatment and recovery support services. And whereas thousands of people in St. Clair County are affected by these conditions, and whereas to help more people achieve and sustain long-term recovery, the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration, the White House Office of National Drug Control Policy, and now tonight, the Port Huron City Council invite all residents of Port Huron to participate in National Recovery Month, September 2017. Now therefore, I, Pauline M. Rep, by the authority vested in me as mayor of the city of Port Huron, and on behalf of Council Members Archibald, Ashford, Harris, Lamb, Ruiz, and Warden, do hereby proclaim September 2017 to be National Recovery Month in the city of Port Huron. Call upon the people in our community to observe this month with appropriate programs, activities, and ceremonies to support this year's Recovery Month theme. Join the Voices for Recovery, strengthen families and communities. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor Rep and City Council members. So I was going to speak during the public comments, but I figured this is a good time to do it. Just quickly, my name's Tony Samini. I'm a person in recovery. I moved out to Port Huron about 3.5 years ago into Vision Quest Recovery Housing, which helped provide a foundation for me to have the life which I'm blessed to have today. Part of that blessing is about a year ago I was co-founder of a charity called Vision of Hope Charities that helps people early on in recovery. We provide assistance with housing, bus passes, food, clothes, etc. And we, along with Operation Transformation, the local churches in Port Huron, are co-sponsoring an event that was organized by members of the Vision Quest Recovery softball team who have played in many tournaments across the state, had success, carried themselves with dignity, displayed team membership and unity, and have brought and invited teams to come here September 9th at Knox Field. We're having the first annual Blue Water Recovery Classic. So in light of this proclamation and it being Recovery Month, we're hosting, it sort of serendipitously happened that we had scheduled this event, and then Mayor Rep, you made this proclamation. We're having two teams from the local community, Vision Quest Recovery, and another team that's co-sponsored by Vision of Hope and States Painting. And 10 teams from outside the community, from Lansing, Flint, Macomb, all across the state that are also in recovery. And so we would like to extend an invitation to the members of the City Council, Mayor, Mr. Freed, and anyone else that would like to come and support this recovery epidemic, this recovery in Port Huron. So the reason that I think it's important that we come out and do this, in light of the fact that there's 10 teams from outside the community coming in here to see what Port Huron has to offer as far as recovery and the support from the city. I'm just going to read this part. So, Mr. Freed, I'm paraphrasing, but last time I was at a city council meeting, you said something about setting a precedent for how we handle recovery housing and thus recovery in general. So I think that we have the opportunity, as these teams come in, to demonstrate through action and support how the city of Port Huron and the recovery community are working in concert to nurture a symbiotic relationship and to lay the foundation for said precedent, and demonstrate also that there are truly no throwaway people. This mutually beneficial relationship begins where the community of Port Huron provides a safe and stable environment, as it did for me, for people to recover, and then those people in recovery can then contribute as productive members of that community, resulting in solidarity, which we hope will dissolve the line between, quote, community and, quote, recovery community, and we can all just work as one. Hopefully we won't see each other as council members or addicts or people in recovery, but just simply as human beings. And so again, we'd like to invite everyone to join us on September 9th at Knox Field. The first pitch is thrown out at 7:30. We were thinking perhaps Mayor Rep or any member of the City Council could throw out the first pitch, read part of or all of the proclamation, or at least come out and support, again, showing the solidarity and the backing of the community, and then we contribute and so on. We work together in this deal. Thank you.
Thank you. We will move on to the second presentation.
Beautification Commission members will recognize the 2017 Yard of the Year winners.
Good evening. We thank you, Mayor Rep, City Council, for the opportunity to give us the chance to recognize the talented gardeners in our city. I am Stephanie Romales. I am the Secretary of the Beautification Commission and co-chair of the Yard of the Year with Salle Jowett. The commission that I work with is comprised of 9-member board dedicated this year marks our 32nd year of existence, and it was created in 1985. The commission's mission is to enhance and maintain the natural beauty of the city of Port Huron and to create and foster citizen pride by developing programs, projects, and annual events. At this time, I'd like to introduce the Beautification Commission members that are in attendance tonight. If they will please stand when I read their names. Ashley Cox, Diane Horn, Nicole Hutchinson, Salle Jowett, Donna Kelly, Rose Cotta. Life members, which are people who have served on this board for 10 or more years: Mary Jo Edson, Kathy Holt, Laura Luttrell, Carolyn McNeil, and Evelyn Rogers. These are the wonderful women who work with me every month to make sure that things are beautified in this city. You, the City Council, annually appropriate $3,300 a year to help us assist with purchasing flowers and to help with the sponsoring of the Yard of the Year contest and the tree recognition program, and we appreciate this allotment of funds. Beautification currently maintains approximately 25 flower beds that are located throughout the city. Members and volunteers prepare these beds, we plant the flowers, and then we provide the ongoing weeding and maintenance of these beds throughout the year. The Beautification Commission also sponsors the tree recognition program, whereby individuals can have a tree planted on city property in memory of a loved one or a dear friend, or just to honor and recognize an individual. Finally, we also sponsor the annual Yard of the Year contest. This event provides us with the opportunity to showcase the beautiful landscaping that our residents and businesses do. At this time, I would like to introduce my co-chair of the Yard of the Year contest, Salle Jowett, to come up and help present the awards with me.
Thank you, Mayor Rep and Council. This year marks 29 years for the Beautification Commission's annual Yard of the Year contest. The subject of the contest is to encourage people and businesses to beautify their property. I think it's important to the public to know that the properties are judged by master gardeners, not by the members of the commission, who look for very specific things like design, overall appearance, neatness, and plant material. The judges are impartial and good at what they do. They follow a point system, and they judge only the front of the properties. Addresses are given to the judges without them knowing who lives in the houses. The city is divided into 3 districts. Northern city limits to the Blue Water Bridge and I-94. The Central District, Blue Water Bridge, I-94, south to Griswold. And the South District, Griswold Street to the southern city limits. It's interesting to note that there have been 603 awards presented since the inception of this contest. This total includes today's recipients. We have recognized 367 residential winners and 236 commercial businesses. This year, we received 61 nominations. Residential winners will receive the coveted wooden yellow tulip and or a leaf if they are a winner in past years. Commercial winners will receive a plaque, and the Steve Revnick winner will receive a plaque. Repeat winners, as I mentioned, receive either a leaf, or if they've won sufficient number of times, they may get a second tulip. We will now announce the winners and ask if an individual or their representative is here tonight, that they might come forward to accept their award.
We will be showing the yards of the years on the screen behind you as to each area. So, we start with the Central.
The Central, Douglas Bishop, 1313 Wall Street. What Mr. Bishop doesn't know is that I know he's only been on the property for 2 years.
Not even a year.
Not Please go by and look at 1313 Wall. It's beautiful.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. The second winner is Beverly Jerie of 903 18th Street.
She's not here tonight. She could not attend.
We'll make sure she gets her tulip. The third winner from the Central District, John and Carol Smith, 1421 Washington Avenue.
These are former winners multiple times. They have a beautiful yard. Sure. On the north end, our winners this year, 3018 Armour Street, Kathleen Andary.
been there just a very short while, and it's beautiful. Thank you.
Next on our list is 323 LaSalle Boulevard, Rick and Kathy Krauss. They again are a repeat. They have a beautiful yard. It has come up numerous times. And finally, on the north end is 2430 Riverside Drive, Jerie Ruiz. And we weren't sure if she was going to attend or not. All right. You're welcome. And again, she's another yard that you have to go by and see on a regular basis. It's just gorgeous.
The South End, 2821 Military Street, Troy and Mary Clark. They
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Second from the South End, 1421 Oak Street, William and Nancy Kulman. Beautiful. Thank you, Bill. And finally, for the South End, 3803 Military, Steve Mayer and Ann Whaley.
Commercial this year. We again have 3 places. The first is on 828 Lapeer Avenue. It's the First United Methodist Church. The flowers around everything is gorgeous this year.
Thank
Nice
you.
job. Second winner is 1634 Lapeer Avenue. It's Jowett Funeral Home. And the last winner is 710 Pine Street at St. John's United Church of Christ.
It was her brain.
Oh, I can say, I was there a few weeks ago. It's beautiful.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks so much.
We also have a final award. It's the Steve Brevnick Award. This award is given for somebody in the community who decides to help with the beds or creates a bed to help beautify our city. And this year, we actually have a family who has decided to take over the Huron Lightship flower beds. They are the McFarland family. Parents are Michael and Brandy, and the children are Connor and Keegan. Now, for the winners tonight, EBWTV is here. They're doing some filming, and they would be very appreciative if any of the winners would like to see them afterwards, so that they can kind of talk to them. Otherwise, we are done.
I have 3 other people I'd like to thank. 2 of them work here in the city administration building, Kelsey Rollins and Sue Child. Without either of those wonderful women, we simply couldn't move from day to day. And you must wonder how we get the tulips and how we get the leaves. Well, this year, I had to go to a friend and say, help. I'd like to thank Jerie Tyson of Fort Gratiot, who got out his saw, they took the pattern, and did the painting. So,
Thank you. Congratulations to all of the winners, and congratulations to the Beautification Commission. They work very hard to beautify our community, and we really appreciate it. So thank you very much. Give them another round of applause. We'll move on with the agenda now. We have one public hearing tonight. If the clerk would please read that.
To hear comments on the Consolidated Annual Performance Evaluation Report for the 2016 program year.
Is there anyone in the audience? I'm going to give it just a moment here while we let a few people clear out, so bear with us. Otherwise, it's going to be too noisy to hear anything. Okay, I think we can move forward. Is there anyone in the audience who wishes to address the City Council on public hearing number 1 this evening? If so, please come forward and give us your name. Seeing no one, I will declare public hearing number 1 closed. Move on to... Yeah, just a minute.
Take them in the lobby across if they want a video.
Okay. We'll move on to public comment. If there's anyone in the audience who wishes to address the council on any item on the agenda this evening or matter that's under the city's jurisdiction, you're welcome to come forward, give us your name, and you have 4 minutes.
I am Russ Kelly. I live at 928 Huron Avenue in the River Park neighborhood. I'm coming before you today with a problem we have in our neighborhood, and I'm sure that Mr. Freed and Mayor Rep is well aware of what's going on. We're still working with trying to resolve the situation of Domtar using the end of Rollins Street as a industrial site to clean up their waste problem in their manufacturing process. I have a copy of the agreement between, at the time was E.B. Eddy and the city of Port Huron. They were, there was certain stipulations that E.B. Eddy had to follow, and at the time, and what we're reading in here now, that is not the situation. The city has the right to, stop the procedure at any time, according to this agreement. But what we're up against is they clean the filters at this location at the end of Rollins Street. This is a public right-of-way, city property, and it is a public street. And it's supposed to be accessible to anybody who wants to use it. They have dominated the area with their procedures, cleaning the filters so that they don't discharge any kind of waste into the St. Clair River. This could all be done probably in plant if it was properly designed and whatnot. We have talked to Domtar in meetings. They say that they have spent over $1 million, and they got an engineer that works full-time trying to solve the problem. Well, this has been going on for 7 years. I think it's probably time that they stepped up and solved the problem permanently. The noise that is created by this keeps us up at night with them cleaning the filters in this area. And then during the day, they have emergency cleanups where they bring in some very heavy equipment, and it's a vacuuming situation with some very large trucks, and it's hard to even carry on a normal conversation a block away. So we would like the city's help in stepping up and seeing if we can't resolve this situation once and for all. And I thank you for your time.
Thank you. We are still following up on that, so I know what you're talking about. I have been out there, so thank you. Is there anyone else in the audience who wishes to address the council this evening? Please come forward. You have 4 minutes and state your name.
Good evening, City Council, Mayor Rep, City Manager, and Mayor Pro Tem. Thank you again for being here and for serving this city. And I couldn't just let things go because I need to give you a glimpse into what life is like in the recovery community. As we go into...
Could we have your name before you
Oh,
start?
I'm sorry.
Please?
I'm back again. Sharon Mike Salle. I live at 1719 Minnie.
Thank you.
And what it is like for the recovery community as we come into Recovery Month. For myself, I've received a call this past week, where a young gentleman who has lived and worked in this community and has struggled with addiction, begged and pleaded that I could find somebody to get him in touch with Vision Quest so he could get in. Was anybody there that could get him in? And of course, Vision Quest couldn't accept him. And the next day at work, he's not there because he's drunk. And another young lady who I'd like to be able to see get into a Vision Quest is in 3 West right now. And I'm hoping that she can get better and get into a place like Vision Quest. Unfortunately, what's been happening is a lot of people don't have places to go. And a lot of people are back out, and a lot of people need help. And I beg and plead that we could please move this forward. Even if we worked into a probationary period or anything that we can do so that we can have people who need this housing. This young man was living in a situation where he was helping a family member dealing with a chronic illness. And it is a very dangerous situation for an addict trying to recover, to be living in a home where there's a lot of medicines and a lot of pressure and a lot of family pressures. And he knew that he needed to get into some place like Vision Quest. And we couldn't help him. And I don't know where he is right now. But I want to keep this in front of you. As you can see, the recovery community is here to speak and let you know that we're still here and we still need help. And I thank you for your time. Thank you, family.
Thank you. Is there anyone else? Is there anyone else in the audience who wishes to address the council this evening? Seeing no one? at the end of the meeting, we'll have an update from our city manager. I believe it's going to be an item that's before us at our next meeting, but we'll wait till the end of the meeting to talk about that, okay? We'll move forward. I'll declare public audience closed, and we'll move on to the consent agenda. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second?
Thank you. That's by Councilmember Archibald and Lamb.
Mayor Rep,
Yes,
can we take Resolution 6 off consent agenda, please?
Resolution 6.
Please.
Sure. Okay, we'll go forward.
Mayor Rep,
Yes.
communication petition number 1. And in resolution 17091, it's number 5.
Yes.
And then I think in the ordinance section, number 1, 17009.
Clerk would take the vote on the consent agenda, please.
Councilmember Archibald?
Yes.
Councilmember Ashford?
Yes.
Councilmember Harris?
Yes?
Councilmember Lamb?
Yes.
Councilmember Ruiz?
Yes.
Councilmember Warden?
Yes.
Mayor Rep.
Yes. The items on the consent agenda, we had unfinished business and approved the amendment to the City Council's Rules of Procedures to add a begin time of 7 p.m. for regular meetings to the rules. We received and filed notification from the Michigan Liquor Control Commission that a new SDM license with new gas pumps has been received for Electric Spirit Shop at 2313 Connor Street. Received and filed notification from the Michigan Liquor Control Commission that an application has been received to transfer location of 2017 watercraft license for the Huron Lady 2 from 800 Military Street to 207 Water Street. Received and filed notification that the annual conflict of interest statements have been reviewed and no discrepancies have been noted. Confirmed and approved single-lot special assessments for the cost of sidewalk replacement in the right-of-way. Rescinded Resolution 17-077 declaring a single-lot assessment for special trash pickup in the right-of-way of 213 16th Street. Designated the voting delegate to the Michigan Municipal League Annual Convention. Approving the scheduling of public hearings for September the 11th to hear comments on Code Case 16-003 at 3106 Van Ness and 16-0006 at 1023 Miller Street to determine whether they constitute a nuisance as defined by the Port Huron City Code. Those are all the items that were on the consent agenda. We will now go to communications and petitions. Number 1, please.
Receive and file the August 8th, 2017 election results for the Police and Fire Department 3 mill proposal and the Department of Parks and Recs 1 mill proposal as canvassed by the St. Clair County Board of Canvassers.
Do we have a motion to receive and file?
So moved.
Councilmember Archibald, is there a second?
Second.
Councilmember Ruiz. Is there discussion?
Mayor Rep,
Councilmember Warden.
just with this recent millage, I just wanted to make sure we, during the course of putting it out there and a lot of feedback from a lot of our citizens and taxpayers across, they really do, I felt had a real concern to make sure that we're, the vote did go through, both for Parks and Rec and for the Police and Fire. The Police and Fire, they were very strong against not closing a fire station, and I think that was a very, very clear message we need to make sure we keep on top of. And on the Parks and Rec millage, the same thing. It was a very strong, I feel, very, very strong, clear message of passing that proposal that we need to be very appreciative of what we have. And with the recreation, not only the locations, the buildings, the programs, but also the recreation, Parks and Rec land that we have throughout the city, I think it's very clear that the city of Port Huron voters said, hey, we want to keep it and support it. And the no's out there, which we definitely need to respect, pretty close to 1,200 no's and 1,300 no's on the Parks and Rec. Those are people that came out that really have concern, and those dollars that now are going toward our vision here, and I think we need to have very tight management. We appreciate the support, but we really need to double and triple check the belt and as we go forward with this stuff, because it is a big burden. And I do think again, our residents and the voters did say yes, but we need to be very careful. So I just wanted to make those comments to make sure I was on record and to share with all of us as we did go through that. Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other comments from council?
Mayor Rep,
Councilmember Archibald.
I'd just like to take this opportunity to thank the residents for their support for the city, for the police, fire, parks, and recs. And it's people like them that make me not only proud to be sitting up here representing them, but even prouder to be a resident of this great city. And the clear message I think it sends is that we love our city, we love the direction our city's heading, and we want to keep it going that way. So again, I just want to say thank you to all of the residents who supported it. Great job, well done, and congratulations to those who keep their jobs and continue to do all the things that make this city such a wonderful place.
Thank you. Is there any? Mayor
Yeah,
Pro Tem?
I would just like to say that I think that the city, they did their due diligence prior to going into this vote. They demonstrated over and beyond that they had put restraints in place and tried to do the best they could in terms of our financial situation. And I think that the people heard that and the people spoke. It's a democratic process, and here we're ready to move on. It's not saying like we won the lottery, we're going to go crazy because we got these meals. I think they will still continue to follow suit and doing their jobs prudently, honesty, and with integrity. Thank you.
You're welcome. Anyone else?
Madam Mayor.
Can I let the council speak first?
Go ahead.
Thanks. I wanted to reiterate just what's been said before, and I was out of town when that final vote came through, and I have to tell you, I was in a mild state of shock. But it immediately led to the extreme pride I had in this city. Number one, I congratulate anyone who got off the couch and went to vote. No matter what side they were on, they went there and they spoke out. And all sides, both sides, are going to be watching what we do. It's not an immediate answer to all of our situations. I'm proud of the city manager for the fact that he brought forth the dilemma that we were in. But again, city residents said, we're putting you in charge, we're going to trust you with this money, and we're going to see if this helps the situation. They spoke from the fact that they approve of what the firefighters and the policemen do on a daily basis. I would never want their job, but I admire them for the job that they do. And then the city recreation department, which just stands head and shoulders above so many departments that are out there because they're so creative and they're taking minimal monies and putting out great programs which benefit everybody in the county. But the pride I have of this and being a lifelong member of this city, the fact that they stepped forth in this time and they said, yes, go forth, things are going well, keep them going that way. I thank them for the fact that they did that and they approve. And I don't think any of us, no matter what situation has been in the past and what the stand, have to be making sure that we make positive strides forward with the monies that you've given us to do that. And I thank you again.
You're welcome.
Mayor Rep.
Yes, Councilmember Harris.
I was going to save mine till the end, but I guess might as well say it now. I really appreciate everything. I guess the only thing that I take back from this is the editorials in the Times Herald kind of seem to think that we had some weak stewardship of your funds, and I can assure you, as I sit here with my fellow council members, that yeah, sometimes we might not be on the same base, but I'll tell you what, every one of us is concerned about the stewardship of the city of Port York. And I know that the 6 other members and myself will be darn sure that your money spent wisely, and I think Port York has a good future with this board as it is here, and I know I'm going to carry that on for the next 3.5 years. So I just want to thank everybody. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Harris. Anyone else? Well, I'd also just like to say everybody has said everything eloquently, so there's not a whole lot I can add other than to say thank you to the voters. Thank you to all of our city employees for the good job that they do And the fact that we can keep doing that good job is really good. I mean, it's not just the police and fire and the rec departments, which were on kind of the chopping board and looking for the millage, but it's everybody who comes in every day and works hard for the residents of Port Huron, so I thank everybody. And that we can move forward with a little relief, but we certainly will, as Councilmember Harris said, be good stewards of this money, and certainly very watchful that it's spent correctly and only when needed. So you can have my personal guarantee, as Councilmember Harris said, that we all, feel that way, that it's not like a gift, it's something that we need to be very wise about our decisions. So thank you again. And Mr. Freed.
Just real briefly, I wanted to thank firefighters Oliaga and Pavelik, who really organized the firefighters to walk door to door. President of the POAM, our local chapter, James Gilbert, John Stewart, the president of our command staff union, and our Parks and Recreation staff. I would get to work in the morning and see the police officers working all day and all night, and then to see them get off shift and to go walk door to door when they could be home with their families to communicate with our citizens. I was just so proud of their dedication to get information out there. It really it was a dedicated team effort, boots on the ground. John Kendrick and Susan Bennett, who went above and beyond, to whom much is given, much is expected. It's very humbling to have the support of the community. And I want to point out that we had a $1.5 million deficit. This does not provide us mass surpluses or slush funds. This sustains us. But I believe that our charge to keep is to be good stewards. And I think with enhanced investments in our community investing more in us, we owe it to the community to do an enhanced level of transparency. And so all of our financial records have been published in detail on porthuron.org/opengovernment. Going forward, all of our financial records, our quarterly financial reports, will be posted line item by line item on porthuron.org/opengovernment. Hold us accountable. We will show you exactly where your money's going. We will show you the commitments that we made, and so that level of transparency is there. And this sustains us. We're not going to, build a new city hall or something crazy like that. This just gets us by. And so I want to encourage residents to take advantage of that transparency, to look where your money goes. If you have any questions, 984-9740 is my direct line. I'll actually pick up, and I can answer any questions you have about where your money is going. The department heads are always open to field your calls. If you see something that looks kind of odd, call and we'll tell you what's going on. And we want you to feel like that line of communication is open. But we recognize that this is a charge to keep, and we have our end of the deal on the administration side, the staff side, and the employee side to hold up, and we will put great effort into that. Thank you.
Thank you. We now have the item before us to receive and file. If you could take the vote.
Councilmember Ashford?
Yes.
Councilmember Harris?
Yes.
Councilmember Lamb?
Yes.
Councilmember Ruiz?
Yes.
Councilmember Warden?
Yes.
Councilmember Archibald?
Yes.
Mayor Rep.
Yes. We'll move on to, from the city manager, number 1.
Accepting the bid from Cold Springs Granite Company in the amount of $22,599 to provide 2 40-niche columbaria for the Allied Veterans Cemetery.
Is there a motion?
So move.
Mayor Pro Tem Ashford, is there a second?
Second.
Councilmember Ruiz, is there discussion?
Yes, I do have a question.
Mayor Pro Tem Ashford.
What is the balance in that fund? Would you happen to know that or not? I can look it up because it's kind of caught you off. But, do you know how many remaining niches we have there?
I believe the clerk can answer that.
Okay, we have 2? 2. Okay, because that's important to know. We're doing this, we're passing this, and why are we getting more? It's because we're running out. Okay, thank you.
Madam Mayor, if I could, just a note as well, you mentioned a great point. These are actually revenue makers for the cemetery. We buy them and then we sell them out,
Right.
and we actually make a profit to help the fund. So there's a high demand for these. Nancy, do you want to come up for a moment and just explain real quick how many and how big they are?
Mayor and City Council, as James says, we're buying 2 new ones. They're 40, have 40 niches in them each. We sell them for, I'm gonna look at it because I don't know off the top of my head, but $420 for residents and $625 for non-residents. So we do make more money than we're paying for them, anywhere from, depending on, the combination, $33,000 to $50,000 when we're done. This was a budgeted item, and it came in under budget for these two, calibariums.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Mayor Rep, if I may.
Yes, Councilmember Ruiz.
Nancy, I just have to tell you, my father, who was a World War II veteran, has his name on one of those columbarium, and I just have to tell you, St. Clair County really takes care and acknowledges its veterans, and to see Korean, Vietnam, World War II, servicemen in general, having their name and honored there in that place, it's good to have, and I appreciate you taking care of that.
Thank you.
Anything else from anyone? Thank you. We'll take the vote.
Councilmember Harris?
Yes.
Councilmember Lamb?
Yes.
Councilmember Ruiz?
Yes.
Councilmember Warden?
Yes.
Councilmember Archibald?
Yes.
Councilmember Ashford?
Yes.
Mayor Rep?
Yes. Item 2 under from the city manager.
Accepting the bid from Murray Underground Systems Incorporated in the amount of $699,697.25 for the Vanderburg Place and Moak Street Water Main and Street Reconstruction Project.
Is there a motion?
So move.
Mayor Pro Tem Ashford, is there a second?
Second.
Councilmember Harris, is there discussion?
Madam Mayor, I just note that on all the action items tonight, some of you had requested that we put in parentheses where the funding sources are. So if you look at your action items, actually on your agenda, on your agenda items, you will actually see us note in the parentheses where the funding will be coming from for these projects. So this project will be a combination of streets, water, and wastewater funds. The streets will come from the streets fund. The pipes underneath will come from the 2 utility funds. And we've done that throughout all the action items tonight.
Okay, thank you.
Is that on the new agenda that was here?
Yeah, I believe you have it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, because I was working from the one you sent. Oh, okay.
Just in parentheses.
Oh, okay, I got it.
Any discussion?
Mayor Rep,
Councilmember
could we just have a
Warden?
quick description of this little project and when it's going to potentially start and end? And
Madam Mayor, Council, this particular project, 2 local streets, Moak and Vanderburg, which are located on the south end of town. They are very old streets. The Vanderburg was paved in the 60s, and Moak was paved in the 70s. They have very poor, what we call Pazer ratings, so they both need it. But in addition to repaving the road, we're also replacing a 6-inch water main on Vanderburg, which was installed in 1916, and a 10-inch sanitary line, which was installed in 1907. In Moak, we're replacing an 8-inch water main, relatively new, was installed in 1918. So both of these projects have been necessary for a little while. They're both private. We're not getting any money from MDOT because they're local roads, but they both need this work. And it's been a while coming, and we're ready to move forward now.
Thank you.
And the beneficial to the residents out there in that area that would benefit from this, what's the benefit?
Absolutely. They all connect to electric, and it will allow them to enter and leave their residence much easier than having to go around, because the roads themselves are not in very good shape.
Oh, okay. And the timetable?
We should be finished with these roads this fall,
Okay.
by November.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Mayor Ryan.
Councilmember
Mayor Rep,
Ruiz.
you have a general idea how many of those water mains and situations do we have that date back that far in our
Fewer
city?
every year.
Well, what's a number?
We have a great number, and we try to address them as we can. We have over 200 miles of water main throughout the city, and we have just as much, if not more, sanitary line. And a lot of it is old, and we do an age-based accounting for our utilities, and then we look in the last 3 to 5 years how many problems we've had with a particular line to note whether or not it's in need of repair. This is one of the older sanitary lines that we've got out there, and it was time to get out there and fix it. We have some that are maybe newer, but maybe in more trouble. So it's on a condition basis as we note during the course of a year which lines need to be replaced sooner, and we put a program together in the fall for the following year based on both the road and the age of the utilities.
I guess I asked because I remember your predecessor Mr. Clegg came along and we saw the light at the end of the tunnel with our sewer and water separation, and we all thought, oh boy, I can't wait till that day. And then he kind of waited and he burst that bubble and he said, and by the way, we have all these old 100-year-old pipes and such. And that's, I guess, why I ask it. We're able to sustain and just keep with our present funding to stay on top of that along the way and replace those? It's not going to all come crashing down and...
At the current pace, well, we hope to pick up the pace in the next few years so that we don't get behind.
Okay. Thank you.
Madam Mayor.
Yes.
I just also note, we got a huge jump start on our infrastructure, probably ahead of game of any other city in the state because of our CSO work. As you mentioned, a large portion of our water and sewer mains. I would encourage people to go online to porthuron.gov/open government again, pull out your water quality report, and compare that quality report, because they're standardized metrics, with any other community in the state of Michigan. We have some of the best drinking water quality in the state of Michigan, and a huge portion of that is because of the CSO work that we've done to replace a significant portion of our water mains. I'd compare it with any of our neighbors. Also noteworthy is that in the next 3 years, as our CSO debt begins dropping about 1.6–1.3 million in the water funds, we will maintain a more pay-as-we-go system in our utility funds for infrastructure, so that we're continuously bonding out, but able to do as a pay-as-we-go moving forward. But we have seen the benefits of some of the safest, best drinking water, lowest lead levels, I would say, in the state at 0.0003, so significantly.
Thank you. Councilmember Archibald.
Oh, go ahead.
Okay. I just want to add that I've been asked before, well, if the city has a problem and we don't have any money, and why are you spending $600,000 or $700,000 on streets? And I think it's important to point out that it is important to fix all of those old pipes and streets and the things that are decaying. And what really brings it to light is that I had the opportunity with several of the others here to be at the water park or waterway restoration ceremony a week ago, and I was talking to some of our senators and congressmen, and it came up about Macomb County, and they said we should applaud ourselves, and in all the financial strains that we face and all that we're trying to overcome, yet we have not dropped the ball on this, because that is exactly the core problem of what happened in Macomb, is they decided not to spend the money because they were old but they hadn't broken yet. And the next thing they know, they've broken and they have a giant sinkhole. So I just think it's important for the residents to understand that sometimes it's not about we can just put this money away and fix our problems. It's about making sure we don't have a bigger problem that's going to cost us a lot more money down the road. And I thought it was very nice of them to point out, one, that we should applaud ourselves that we're staying on top of it, and it makes it a little bit understandable for the residents to know why we're trying to keep up on this and keep doing it.
Good point.
Oh,
Councilmember
yeah.
Warden.
Just, Lenny, just real quick, first of all, I want to say at least we got 4 bidders on this. They seem to be around the area, and the budget, as far as the low bidder, it looks like pretty close to 57, almost 58,000 lower than the second lowest bidder. Did you have a particular budget in mind for this? Did it come in line or under, or where are we at with this?
This actually came in about 20,000 over our estimate,
Okay.
because the prices for construction have been accelerating upward in the last 6 to 8 months. And even though we tried to anticipate that, it's getting ahead. It's becoming very busy, and Port Huron is becoming a very popular place to build things.
Mm-hmm.
So
Well,
we still have room to build.
Yeah, I just wanted, at least that bidding process did benefit the city of Port Huron by
Always.
$58,000 to the next lowest one, so I appreciate that.
Thank you. I think Mr.
Yeah,
Cruz
just
wants
real
to
quick, I just
say
want to point out, I think Councilwoman Archibald brought up an excellent point. Just for the public's knowledge, we're the city government, but we're actually 3 different enterprises, legally separate enterprises. Our water and sewer are considered enterprise funds. They're like a separate business. They must be self-sustaining. We can't take water and sewer money and take it to the general fund. They're kind of like their own thing. We run them, but they're their own corporation type for the state statute. Same with our streets funds. Our streets are Act 51, major streets, local streets. They're legally separated from the general fund. So we can have budget problems in the general fund, and difference in water and sewer and in streets. And so we're one government, but we're running three different separate, legally separate operations. So your water and sewer money doesn't go into the tax fund, and which is nice because we also provide water to the townships. So they pay their fair share for the sewer plant upgrades and for the water plant upgrades as well. So we share that burden for everyone. So I just want to point that out.
So it's discretionary? It's discretionary, separate funds, right?
Yes, legally restricted, yep.
We will take the vote on item 2 under from the city manager.
Councilmember Lamb?
Yes.
Councilmember Ruiz?
Yes.
Councilmember Warden?
Yes.
Councilmember Archibald?
Yes.
Councilmember Ashford?
Yes.
Councilmember Harris?
Yes.
Mayor Rep?
Yes. Item 3, please.
Accepting the proposal from HM Environmental Services Incorporated in the amount of $336,616.80 for the cleaning of the biosolid storage tank at the wastewater treatment plant.
Is there a motion?
Support.
Councilmember Archibald, supported by Mayor Pro Tem Ashford. Is there discussion?
Mayor Rep,
Councilmember Harris.
I wonder if somebody could speak to who the other contractor was, the other bidder, and how much they bid that we didn't take.
Mayor, Council, there was one other, it wasn't a bidder per se, but it was a proposal. We asked for proposals from contractors because we didn't want to specify means and methods because there was so many different ways we could have done this. And we got 2 vendor submittals, and we did a technical evaluation and found that HM Environmental's submittal was the most technically sound, and as well as the best price for the work that needed to be done.
What was that price, Lenny? What was the price of the other bid, the other proposal? What was their price?
It was just over $400,000.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mayor
Councilmember
Rep.
Warden.
Yeah, Lenny, just to lay up, just so everybody knows, this is the importance of what you're going to be doing here with this cleaning of the storage tanks. If you can just explain a little so we can all.
Well, we have 8 biosolid storage tanks. These are the final tank that in the process, and over the years, as this sludge builds up in the tanks, and it cannot be removed easily. And in fact, we were going to do this last year, but we had problems estimating and getting proposals because we couldn't estimate. So we had to hire a survey firm to come in and do surveys of these tanks to determine just how much material is left in them so that we could give the bidders or the proposers a solid number for the amount of material. And the biosolids storage tanks, what they're going to have to do is they're essentially going to sluice the tanks out, remove the material in a liquid form, then dry it, and then dispose of it in a hazardous waste landfill as hazardous material. But this is part of the reduction process for the wastewater treatment plants. It's one of the last places we have to do this every 8-10 years or so. Otherwise, the tanks get so full they no longer work. The nozzles get encrusted and things that I probably don't want to talk about here.
Just one other question. You know, it says that, you know, the multiple mixing nozzles have become clogged and many broken valves are in need of repair, affecting this ability to properly manage the biosolid tanks. Or while you're doing this clean out, is that the time that is some of this stuff going to be repaired or addressed at that time?
Absolutely, yes, sir.
Is that a separate, will that be something separate, or is this included in this price?
That's included. That's something that we're going to do once the tanks are clean.
Okay, thank you.
Any other discussion?
Mayor Rep.
Yes, Councilman.
What did we pay for that study to see if it was a time to?
It wasn't a study so much as just a survey, and it was.
What did it cost us?
It was less than $5,000.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. We will take the vote.
Councilmember Ruiz?
Yes.
Councilmember Warden?
Yes.
Councilmember Archibald?
Yes.
Councilmember Ashford?
Yes.
Councilmember Harris?
Yes.
Councilmember Lamb?
Yes.
Mayor Rep.
Yes. Item 4, please.
Accepting the bid from Mila Incorporated in the amount of $10,283.40 for a steam pressured sterilizer for use at the wastewater treatment plant.
Is there a motion?
So support.
Was that
Harris.
Councilmember Harris, supported by Mayor Pro Tem Ashford? Is there any discussion?
Madam Mayor, just real quickly explanation. This is a sanitizer which sanitizes all of our labs, equipment, our beakers. We have to properly sanitize it so we can do scientific testing, which is required in reporting to the DEQ and EPA.
Thank you. Is there any other questions from council?
Just, Mayor Rep?
Yes, Councilmember Gordon.
How many of these do we have, or is it just replacing?
We just have one,
One.
and this is replacing one that continues to break. I think we spent about $1,500 on repairs in the last year alone.
So just one for the lab there, and it should last, how long?
15, 20 years.
The one we have now, we've had for 10 years, and it was replaced after 1 year under warranty, and it still broke down. We have to repair it constantly.
So we're getting a warranty on this one, too?
We're getting a, yes, sir.
Good idea.
Thank you.
We will take the vote.
Councilmember Warden,
Yes.
Councilmember Archibald,
Yes.
Councilmember Ashford,
Yes.
Councilmember Harris,
Yes.
Councilmember Lamb,
Yes.
Councilmember Ruiz,
Yes.
Mayor Rep.
Yes. Item 5, please.
Accepting the quote from Itron in the amount of $33,390 to upgrade the software and provide professional services for the Department of Public Works automated meter reading system.
Tongue twister. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Councilmember Archibald, is there a second?
Second.
Councilmember Lamb.
Madam Mayor, I'd like to have Jim Brenner, IT Director, come up and give a needs assessment and why we need this. It's nice to have him down from his perch every once in a while.
Mayor Rep, Mayor Pro Tem Archibald, City Council members, City Manager Freed.
Excuse me, Mayor Pro Tem Archibald.
I'm sorry.
I didn't think I was that invisible.
Mayor Pro Tem Ashford.
Thank you, sir.
The 5 years ago, the Water Department undertook a project to convert to radio-controlled reading system. They put broadcast equipment on all of the meters throughout the city, put 2 repeaters on the, or 2 collectors on top of the water towers, and spread 8 other readers around the city to collect the reads. It enabled them to provide better service to the community by providing leak detection. They could see water consumption. It also allowed us to go to monthly water billing, and it allows us more accurate information on the water readings. That equipment, or that software, is 2 versions old and 5 years old. Part of what's driving this is it runs on 3 hardware servers. 2 of those are in Windows 2003, or Server 2003, which stopped active support on January 1 of 2015, and the other one is Windows 2008, which is still being supported, but no longer being upgraded. And as part of the IT department goals in 2015, 2016, we saw this problem, and one of our goals was to prepare a plan to replace those servers and the software that it runs on. So that's what this project is for.
Jim, if I'm correct, this will allow you to reduce a server that you'll need to replace as well for some cost savings?
Right. One of the reasons, even if it made sense to upgrade this, or to move the software to new servers, the configuration changed. The original setup was 3 servers, one that managed the reading part, one that managed the current readings, the last 180 days of readings, and then another server that had the long-term database. They've gone to a different structure with one server managing the network, and then a single server, and they've consolidated the database into a single database, so you don't have this separation between current data and historical data. So that kind of precludes our ability to simply migrate the software. And that wouldn't make any sense anyway, because almost as soon as we installed it, they went to this different approach, and now we're And then they issued another complete upgrade that we didn't take part in. So although they're still supporting the software, and could make air quotes about supporting, the fact is it's 5 or 6 years old. They don't have staff really that are familiar with what we have anymore. So we think it's time. We're being proactive, but we think it's time.
Any other questions for Mr. Brennan?
Mayor,
Councilmember Warden?
first, is there, this is just a one-time purchase for the upgrade of the software, and is there a different option that is just making payments over a certain period of time? Just $33,390 up front, and we're kind of tied to the system, so when they
We're
do
tied to the system anyway.
when we have to do upgrades, we're gonna have to constantly pay this all the time, right?
Probably every 5 or 6 years.
Okay.
And there's also annual maintenance in the order of about $6,000 a
Okay.
year.
Another question, is the 12,500 water meters within the city, how many do we have? Are they all now up with the digital reader, or how many more water meters do we need to have installed?
No, the last count I saw was 11,600. We're currently reading 11,630
Okay.
meters. The installation program ended 5 years ago. Everyone that was going to convert has been converted.
Okay. So, we're pretty much, it's out there now, it's just a matter of monitoring and upgrading the software for the reads. Have you had much complaints at all for, I guess, people complaining about the actual read that came on the computer, this software versus testing it for the usage?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions?
Yeah, just one. How long, to your knowledge, has this software been available? The new one that you're getting now?
The new software?
Yes, the new one.
About a year and a half.
About a year?
Yeah.
So why did you select now to bring it to us?
Well, because we had discussions all of last year, it was put in the budget. So the new budget began July 1st. This is the second meeting, I think, since the budget year started. The project itself will probably take at least till Christmas. So it's a longer process.
And by having the software, your work would be easier too, correct?
No.
It won't? Well, why wouldn't it be?
Pardon?
Why wouldn't it be?
Because, why wouldn't it be easier?
Yeah.
It's because we take readings and we back up the software.
This won't alleviate anything other than
No.
talk to the other systems, that's it?
Right. One of the thing that we'll provide is we're having difficulty reading some of the meters consistently in parts of the city, and they claim it's because of the version of the software that the collectors, they're on towers around the city.
Okay.
And they tell us the upgraded software and the collectors will do a better job of reading.
Yeah, okay.
But it isn't, without getting too deep in the weeds, what happens is they read them every hour.
Right, okay.
So, but you miss readings along the way, and this will improve that.
Okay, I understand. Thank you. Thank you, Mayor Rep.
Mayor Rupp. Councilmember Archibald.
That just led me to a question. Jim, you made the comment it's about a year and a half ago when they came up with the upgrade. It'll take us till...
That was the major upgrade, yeah.
So it'll take us till December, that's 2 years in. Will there be other upgrades along the way that we will pass up then if we're going to wait and do this every 5, 6 years? Or are we now only 3 years away from having to do it again?
You're asking me to predict how a vendor is going to behave, and I can't really do that. We estimate the life of the software to be 5 or 6 years. Its useful life.
Okay, so you did make the, if I remember correctly, you made the comment that there was an upgrade that we didn't do. So we would have that opportunity to do it again. If they make an upgrade in a year, we could
Right.
pass on that upgrade and wait until we decide it's time that we really need to partake.
Right, the first upgrade came out almost as soon as we had installed, or as soon as we had purchased it. But in that, if you recall, the period of time to install the endpoints was about a year and a half. Then about a year and a half, they issued another upgrade, so. But we think the useful life will be at least 5 years.
Thank you.
Any other
I just have
questions?
one follow-up, I'm sorry.
Councilmember Warden?
Yeah, just, is there, does this, is it Itron? Or-
Yes.
Are they, at least, will they give you at least a 5-year time frame of supporting it? Is there any way to do that?
They'll
The
support
version?
it.
Okay. And the other thing is, the units on each one of the houses that are the meter read, do those at some point in time have to be upgraded to match the software that we're now doing?
No.
These are all going to be compatible? You don't
Yes.
have to go reinstall that stuff?
Yeah, those I think had 10 to 15-year batteries
Okay,
when they were installed, so those will not need to be.
Thank you. I'm good.
Replaced.
thank you.
Any other questions? I take it this is kind of like all software. It comes out, by the time you get it installed, it's outdated, and you go on to the next one. Correct?
And they charge you to fix it, and then they change it, and they go, oh, yep.
They kind of have you.
Kind of like
Madam Mayor.
the office
Yeah.
package.
Yeah.
This really isn't,
One of the benefits of having an accurate water system is, he mentioned it reads every hour. We have in our computer systems that if, say, something crazy happens and you start using 15,000 gallons an hour, it throws up a digital flag. And we have literally called people who were in Florida and said, are you home? Because we, 15,000 gallons of water just blew through your basement, and it was a broken pipe in the wintertime. And we've saved people's homes from thousands and thousands of dollars of damage by giving them a courtesy call if they have something really crazy. So reading every hour and making sure we can throw up a digital flag, it's really helped a lot of people with broken pipes in the wintertime. We got a lot of snowbirds here, and so it's a benefit of having a working system.
Thank you. We will take the vote.
Councilmember Archibald?
Yes.
Councilmember Ashford?
Yes.
Councilmember Harris?
No.
Councilmember Lamb?
Yes.
Councilmember Ruiz?
Yes.
Councilmember Warden?
Yes,
Mayor Rep?
Yes. Item 6, please.
Accepting the proposal from Edward J. Painting LLC in the amount of $30,000 for painting of 670 city-owned fire hydrants.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Councilmember Archibald, is there a second?
Second?
Councilmember Lamb?
Madam Mayor, this is the second year of our 3-year program to paint all the fire hydrants. They have agreed to do it for the same price. They did an excellent job on the first 600, and they will be the same company, same methods. We were impressed with their work, and this is the second phase of it. There'll be one additional phase the next budget year, and that will cover all the hydrants in the city.
Thank you.
Mayor Rep,
Councilmember
may I ask
Ruiz?
us, after the third year is completed, do we start the cycle again?
No, they're good for quite some time. How long is a painted hydrant good for?
approximately 10 years.
10 years, there you go.
Mayor Pro
Yeah, and they
Tem.
look good too, Lenny. They stick out like a sore thumb. Yeah, just red things all over the place, yeah.
That's how you want them to be.
Right, yeah, looks good.
We will take the vote.
Mayor,
Oh,
I'm sorry.
Councilmember Warden.
Yeah, I just had a question about the bidders. Just reading through here, didn't say, was there only 2 vendors that submitted a bid in for this?
So we asked for proposals, as we did last year. We asked for how many fire hydrants they could complete and the methods that they would use for a lump sum of $30,000. Last year, we got a handful of proposers. This year, we got 2. The second proposer said they could do 420 fire hydrants. They had a little bit more elaborate procedure, that's why it costs more, but Edward J. Painting is using hand tools, electric hand tools, encapsulating the scale, disposing of it properly, and they've got a kid painting all the things that he does a good job.
Yep.
We have our inspector checks them on occasion, make sure they're working, and when the hydrant is done, we put our reflective tape on, and you can see the results throughout the south end of town.
I just want to thank you again, at least getting, some other competitive bids, and it seems like these guys are coming in way below and getting more hydrants done for the price, so thank you.
Thank you. We will take the vote.
Councilmember Ashford?
Yes.
Councilmember Harris?
Yes.
Councilmember Lamb?
Yes.
Councilmember Ruiz?
Yes.
Councilmember Warden?
Yes.
Councilmember Archibald?
Yes.
Mayor Rep.
Yes. Item 7, please.
Accepting the bid from S.A. Torello Demolition in the amount of $203,155 for the demolition of the old water plant storage facility located at 1200 Pine Grove Avenue.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Councilmember Archibald, is there a second?
Second?
Councilmember Lamb? If we could have an
Yeah.
explanation of this, please.
Madam Mayor, about a year ago, we sent you, no, it wasn't a year ago, it was springtime, we sent you a report,
Correct.
an engineering assessment report. We had a safety assessment done and a structural assessment done with some recommendations. We emailed that report out at the time. The most cost-effective was demolition for about $200,000, whereas repairing the complete structure was about $900,000, right around there. It's when you walk by, it's not just falling bricks or something like that. It's actually the inside of it is collapsing. The structure of it is failing. It's not like cosmetic issues on the outside. At that time, we had looked at, if we do demolish it, how do you make it usable green space so that the public can access it? Because it is a particularly amazing place to view the river at. And so when Lenny and his team bid this out, they bid it out where it'll be backfilled in, grassed over, sodded. We'll actually have an irrigation system so that the public will still be able to go up there, walk on the grass, and see the river with a terrific view. But we also have directed Nancy Windsor to look at any parks and recreation grants available for the DNR to one day build another type of lookout facility up there. So that will be one of our goals. We will ask the council to add to the council goal list in January as we continue to seek funding for that. But this is a difficult recommendation, but it is the most cost effective. And even at $900,000, if we were to spend that, we couldn't guarantee the lifespan of that structure.
Mayor Rep.
Oh.
If I
Councilmember
may,
Ruiz.
thank you for your
Yeah.
information, Mr. Freed. And because I wondered what had happened. It is, just a terrific piece of property, and it has history and such. And I just wondered, Nancy, if we might have one more deck dance before it's torn down? Only us old people remember that, so, oh, well.
Nancy, he'll probably be trying to do the mashed potatoes.
I still can, Miss Ashford. I still can.
I think I applaud Lenny's team in developing the bid specs in a way that keeps it accessible with green space to the public. So if you want to go out there and have put down a blanket and watch the freighters go by, you'll be able to do that. But again, it's very misleading. When you walk at the outside, it's the inside of it. I believe we took a Times Herald photographer in it. I think even at the time we were nervous. Could you go through it with us, Jackie? It's pretty scary down there. So, yeah.
So, Mayor, just before you speak, the foundation is intact?
No, inside there's serious foundation.
Internal side, but not you know what I mean by foundation?
No, everything inside of it that is holding up has structural issues.
Oh, okay.
It's
All right,
collapsing.
That's important. Okay, thank you.
I believe if something else is put there, it still takes a while for all of the surface to compact and make it, so you could build something else, if that gives Nancy plenty of time to find money, right?
In the meantime, Rico, you can dance on the lawn.
You can dance on the lawn.
Mayor Rep.
Yes, Councilmember Warden.
So I have a few comments on this. This is the observation deck?
Yes.
Okay, and then underneath there, what is the roughly, what's the square footage that you are referencing that was used for old storage but now is in disrepair? Do we have an idea of how much volume or what the square footage of that is?
Roughly 20,000 square feet.
20,000 square feet, and the observation deck surface is how much, roughly?
Roughly the same.
Okay. Yeah, I just, back in the spring when it was brought up, and I want to remind, I just thought, you know what? The first thing we need to do before you rush and just demolish something is, I know the report came back and there's some big money figures, and it also is a potential hazard as it stands right now, which is a risk of injury. But I didn't really see much as far as reaching out to the public or the groups, if there's anybody that might have wanted to, save the deck, so to say, or get involved with, some alternatives. If there's no way to potentially fill in underneath there, not use it as storage anymore, but maintain that deck, you still have that same historic piece for the public, and I don't know if that was evaluated at all. I would have liked to see something like that done before we just say, go ahead and demolish this thing. I just think, spring to fall here, there might be some other options. We might not be able to use it as a storage facility, of course, but filling in underneath and having some way to maintain that might be a less cost a way and still preserve what really people, the history is not about going down underneath there and hanging out in the storage. It's about having that observation deck. So I just thought of something, did we look into that at all? Or maybe can we look into that option just to make sure we give every option a shot?
I think that if I understand it correctly, it's the storage facility that's holding up the observation deck. So without it, there is no observation deck.
It's the structural columns underneath, so if you filled it in, you still have the crumbling structural columns. We have real concerns about the subsurface beneath it. Filling it in would still leave a serious danger to the community, and I don't think any engineer would sign off on that. We have been very public about this. There's been many front-page news stories about the deck. Jackie's done a good job of publishing it. The Times Show's done a lot of due diligence on it. We've talked to Susan Bennett at the museum. There's no appetite there. We've had no real outpouring of people looking at saving it. So, I mean, we're still protecting the view. There's plenty of platforms out there. So I guess.
I mean, how much do you think the platform itself would just be to maintain after you fill or whatever you're going to do, just the platform there?
You can't keep the platform without restoring the structural integrity of below it. You can't just fill it in. You wouldn't be able to compact enough. You still have the failing structural beams underneath it, plus the subsurface.
Okay. Well, that's, again, my opinion, and hopefully you guys take into consideration that.
Is there any other discussion? We will take the vote.
Councilmember Harris?
Yes.
Councilmember Lamb?
Yes.
Councilmember Ruiz?
Yes.
Councilmember Warden?
No.
Councilmember Archibald?
Yes.
Councilmember Ashford?
Yes.
Mayor Rep?
Yes. We will move on to resolution number 1.
Authorizing 17 payments.
Is there a motion?
So moved?
Councilmember Archibald, is there a second?
Support.
Mayor Pro Tem Ashford, is there discussion?
All right.
Councilmember Harris?
I wondered if Nancy would be able to give the public and us a little information on the national restoration part of this bill here. I know that, they started and did a lot of work on McMorran last year, and I knew they were doing some work this year, and I'm not sure if they're finished, and this is a total bill, or...
Yeah. Mayor and City Council, as you know, as we talked about, I believe over a year ago, when we approved the capital dollars, we approved 50,000 of that to be to the exterior of McMorran. Many, many bricks that were crumbling. I think I've showed many of you the areas that were, holy moly, look like they're ready to fall at any moment. They are complete now. That's all 4 sides. The gentleman that did the work actually did really good by us. I want to say, and don't quote me, but I want to say like 300 and some bricks on each side, and thank goodness Rob saved the bricks from the wall, because he was able to take all those bricks. He replaced a lot more bricks than what we originally thought was bad. But structurally, it needed to be done, and I hope you've seen, when they clean the sandstone and you can only do so much with the sandstone, or you start to take the integrity of the stone off. But I think they did a good job if you see the before and after of the cleaning. So yes, this is the final payment that finished the front. Our next job is we had an anonymous donor that donated monies for the stars, and we're going to be working on that in the clock next. But this is the end of the exterior project, but it definitely was a needed project, so it's the last.
I think the main thing is that a lot of people don't appreciate the cosmetic changes and stuff that they really don't see, but McMorran needed a lot of work, and this is tedious work, and I think we got a real bargain on it.
It's one of those things like when you get new tires and nobody knows you got it. I mean, but you really needed them. If you looked at the bricks and the crumbling, and I know I've shown many of you what it looked like. It could have been a real problem if we had waited much longer, so.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Thank you. Any other discussion on the payments? We'll take the vote.
Councilmember Lamb?
Yes.
Councilmember Ruiz?
Yes.
Councilmember Warden?
Yes.
Councilmember Archibald?
Yes.
Councilmember Ashford?
Yes.
Councilmember Harris?
Yes.
Mayor Rep?
Yes. Resolution number 2, please.
Approving the agreement with the Michigan National Resource Trust Fund Development Project to receive grant funding in the amount of $275,000 for the purpose of constructing a permanent restroom and related improvements in Pine Grove Park and authorizing a $120,000 local match.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Councilmember Archibald, is there a second?
Second.
Councilmember Lamb.
Madam Mayor, I'd like to have Nancy come up and give a brief description of this project. Just also noteworthy that the match will come from our Parks and Recreation county money as well as general fund. Do you want to get up and talk about this, Nancy?
She should have just stayed.
Also, Kim Harnemer, the gift that just keeps giving.
Madam Mayor and City Council, first of all, I'd like to thank Kim again. She's done a great job in helping us write grants and get monies for all these different projects that we're trying to do. This particular project is at Pine Grove Park, and I'm going to let Kim kind of talk about some of the amenities that we're looking at doing. And she misses it up here, so I
I thought so. Yeah. She wants to come back for another rerun, huh?
Mayor and council members, good evening, and thank you again for the opportunity to stand before you. I've enjoyed every minute of this, working together with Nancy Windsor and her staff, and David Haynes and his staff, and all of you in the community on these projects. Pine Grove Park, as you're well aware, we received the good news several months ago on that, and that we received funding to install, finally, permanent restrooms at the park. Also additional ADA parking spaces, and reconfigure that parking so that we can get in spaces that are more accessible and directly linked to areas of activity. Also, picnic tables, a pavilion, universally designed benches, and some accessible walkways to tie it all together. Pine Grove Park, as most of us know, it's not just a park in our community. It has a lot of history. Many of us have very fond memories, as we were just talking about, different things in the park and at the park. It's a popular location for a wide range of events. It brings in tourists, it brings in community events, it also brings in outsiders for special events. And I guess I would dare say that it is someplace where not only during the event, but after, they may stay at a local hotel, they may shop downtown, they may dine at local restaurants. Pine Grove Park really is not just a park, it's actually one of the many economic drivers of our community. And so we were thrilled to receive this grant. We are also excited about the possibility, we've had conversations with other organizations and individuals who want to come together for that local donation portion. So the funds will be through a portion of our county Parks and Rec millage, but also local donations, private and public resources, organizations that want to help, whether it be through labor on some of the projects, interest groups, a variety of things, so that it truly is going to be a community project. Sometime next year, we'll get started with that based on your approval. We have 2 years to complete the project, and we look forward to it. So thank you.
Thank you for the explanation. Any questions from anyone on council?
Mayor Rep.
Councilmember Archibald.
Kim, I'm just curious, and I might have missed it. Where about in Pine Grove Park will the permanent bathrooms be located?
Well, we're looking at a couple locations due to where the sewer is located. The wonderful engineering department is working with us on that. But we're going to try to put it in proximity to the playground and the ball field if possible. But we're just working out the logistics of the sewer area on that. Because there will be a concession in the front, like similar to Lakeside as well.
But it will be over by all of that activity.
That's our hope, as long as logistically we can make that happen.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mayor Rep.
Councilmember Warden.
Nancy, the size of the bathrooms, how many bathrooms are you attending or planning on doing for this money?
2 and 2. So they're going to be, like, if you look at the building at Lakeside, it'll be similar to that building, so it'll be 4 all together. You know how there's not women's and men's, are all universal. Yeah.
Well, I'm excited for the grant that we got. potentially. I just have a concern on the Parks and Rec millage and the money, and, what we're going to get out of this thing. It's only going to be 4 bathrooms.
Well, currently at the park, we have 1 handicap accessible porta potty and 2 regular. So this would give the park 1 more bathroom.
And when I was younger, we used to go over to the water treatment plant, had some bathrooms right there that I don't think are open to the public now. I don't know how many bathrooms are in those, but
It's my understanding that they're not in working condition to the public. Plus, I mean, when you, and I could be wrong on that, but that's what I'm understanding. And also, just logistically, where the bathrooms are located, these will be centrally located, be similar to Lakeside. When staff is there in the concession, they'll be open, they'll be clean. People will be monitoring that, which is very important. That part's very important as well, so.
I just somehow, if you can somehow fit more than just 4 bathrooms in this building, because there's an awful lot of activity there, and we're still going to be having porta potties rolling out there for any events.
Unfortunately, no matter what we do, we're going to have porta potties, unfortunately. And the reason why, even if we had, 10 of them, is because at some point we've got to close them, and you still have your fishermen, and you still have, you're still going to, no matter what, just at Lakeside, we have porta potties as well. And that's, again, due to the nature of maintaining the bathrooms, security, it goes on and on. So unfortunately, as much as I hate porta johns as well, it's inevitable. And we do try to stretch the dollars as much as we can, and I think we've been trying to do real good about coming up with a plan on the millage dollars and leveraging that with other grant dollars, which is important, not just taking our money, and we've been leveraging that with other grants so we can do more things. And obviously, if we can get more space, but
Yeah,
for
and
some
local,
reason,
you're,
expensive.
I guess, indirectly going to be asking for help for some potential local contributions for the 120,000 that
Yeah,
is going to be on us.
As Kim said, we'll use some of the millage money because we've come up with a plan for the next couple of years, but we'll also be seeking other dollars as well, because
This
what
is
we
the
have-
county millage money, just to
County-
make, to
Yeah, I'm sorry.
reiterate that,
Sorry.
not the millage that
Yeah,
just
thank
passed.
you. Sorry, county millage money, which we receive every year from the St. Clair County millage.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
just still goes in the budget
Yeah.
for Parks and Rec, so, okay.
But instead of like years ago where we just took that money
Yep.
and used it for things.
Yep.
Now we're trying to use that money to leverage with grants to get more for our money. That's our hope, so.
Okay.
And we probably won't see any activity on this for another year anyways, by the time we get all our paperwork and all that good stuff together, so.
Madam Mayor, I would just note that the wastewater treatment plant, we no longer, one of the major issues with allowing public access is that's a homeland security issue. We have hardened that asset in the last couple decades. Things have changed, and so we can't have people accessing our water pools.
And the total amount is certainly not just for the restrooms, it's for all of the improvements you're doing to the parks, so.
And one of the major issues at that park, if you really think about it from an accessibility point of view, I mean, there's not a lot of sidewalks in throughout the park. So if you wanted to get to the gazebo and you were in a wheelchair, or you wanted to get to the playground, there's not. So we need to keep those things in mind. Also, looking at additional parking there within this grant as well, where we can make that happen. That's a big issue at that park as well, so. And, all the other amenities that Kim talked about.
Thank you. Any other discussion from council? We'll take the vote.
Councilmember Ruiz?
Yes.
Councilmember Warden?
Yes.
Councilmember Archibald?
Yes.
Councilmember Ashford?
Yes.
Councilmember Harris?
Yes.
Councilmember Lamb?
Yes.
Mayor Rep?
Yes. We'll move on to item 3, please.
Approving the memorandum of understanding to receive grant funding in the amount of $15,000 from the National Recreation and Park Association and Walt Disney's Company Meet Me at the Park Playscapes Grant Program for the purpose of constructing a Little Sprouts Nature Play and Tyke Track and related improvements in Palmer Park and authorizing a $25,000 local match.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Councilmember Archibald, is there a second?
Support.
Councilmember Ruiz, is there discussion?
Mayor, I have some discussion, but it's in the same category. I know this is specific to Palmer Park. Do we, and I know you're doing a master plan, the recreation, all that, do you have anything for the south end in a way of an inside recreation, or any vision of that at all?
An indoor recreation center, is that?
Yeah, or something to that fashion, you know, because it seems
Not
as
to
though-
my knowledge, it's in the master plan at this point. An indoor recreation facility, not that I'm aware of in the master plan. Is that what
Well,
you're asking me?
Have we envisioned that in any way?
I
I mean,
love-
because,
yeah.
I mean, you do a lot, don't.
No,
get
I
me
know what
wrong
you're
here,
saying.
But, you know, it's year-round, they could have that capability at that one end of town, but they don't have that capability at the south end. You know, it's just nothing
Ideally,
else.
I would love an indoor facility on the south side, and I do agree with you. I think, like, the splash pad's been a huge hit because I think
Right.
recreation opportunities. It's not in master plan yet. I mean, it's something we can look at, but I mean, you're talking, our big push is gonna be, and that's where we're starting with this project, is innovative play areas throughout the city in different neighborhoods, because we're seeing from research from other rec departments that most people don't go to your, traditional rec centers are there and they're the hub, but going out in the neighborhoods, I mean, think about it yourself, like, how far out, I mean, everybody's busy doing this and that, it's better to be in the neighborhoods, and we're gonna be looking not just in the north, but in the south, where dollars meet up, and we do have some plans for some innovative play areas in the parks down there as well. We're hoping to do different things in the parks, get the kids off the iPads, get the kids off the phone, make it interesting, so it's not just a playscape, something totally like, wow, I want to go do that, because our goal is to get people out and playing and get them in unstructured, free play activity, and there's my soapbox for today. But to answer your question, we will be looking at all the neighborhoods in the city of Port Huron. I don't know that an indoor facility would cost a lot of money. I don't know if.
Well, I'm not asking you to
Yeah.
buy one, I'm asking you to envision one, to vision something. You can even partnership with the school district
Yeah.
or something. There's a lot of things that you can think of. You
Yeah.
know, you don't have to build a whole different building. You know,
You're
there's
saying like
schools,
partner with
there's
some-
schools out there that you could, but there should be something provided for that end of the town that kids could go in as a hub,
Right.
as a recreational center.
I
That they
understand.
could-
now.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's what I'm talking
Madam Mayor,
about.
I'd like to add to that. Mayor Pro Tem Ashford, you bring up an excellent point. I will tell you, we have held numerous roundtable conversations with members of the community foundations, groups like Sons. They all have a vision for some type of community rec center in the south side of the community. It seems silly if we would do it on our own, so we're trying to, like you said, have a partnership with these groups. So those conversations are taking place. We did have a community center down there at the Cleveland Center that used to be for very much more open to the public. We have had conversation with the school district that I think the intent is to open that up, back up to the public. That's a conversation that needs to take place again. So we've had conversations with the schools, with Sons, on their vision for a recreation center for their ministry. With the foundation, how can we all team together? Because if we're going to do something, we're not going to be able to do it. No, each one of us are going to be able to do it on our own. We'll have to partner together. So those conversations are going on. So I think the vision's there. We just got to figure out how we're going to pull it off.
Well, I wish you know,
misunderstood. I
put
thought-
some serious thought behind there. You can have all the meetings in the world, but get some plans down there, some street, and some partnerships, and try to do that, because that will make a tremendous difference, you know.
We worked
for
a
the
lot with
kids.
Cleveland School, a lot, and with the school district, kind of getting our way in there. And we're getting to work a lot more with the administration at the school district than we ever have before. So I understand what you're saying now. I thought,
Right, okay, yeah.
thank you.
There's an indoor gym at Cleveland, whereas Palmer Recreation
Yeah,
Facility
funny.
doesn't really have an indoor gym facility for basketball and winter sports activities, where Cleveland, I believe, does have that. So that's really why we want to cultivate that relationship a little bit more with the schools.
Yeah, but they've been having to pay for that. They had to pay the school district, and I don't think that they should have to be paying. When they got one up here, it's not like they're going to, be on Van Ness Street and run way up here to Palmer Park. That's crazy. So anyway, and then also on this recreation, we were so blessed to have the Stebbins family put the splash pad out there, and it's right in the sun. and I happened to ride by, and everybody was huddled under this one little tree. And, you know, and that sun
Yeah.
was, you know, you heard of heat strokes and all that other kind of stuff, but anyway, is there anything that we could put on a temporary basis that could provide some kind of shading for that?
I can look into it.
Okay, would you look
Yeah,
into
yeah,
that, you
yep.
know, because it was really weird. I mean, all the kids were running in the water, and then they run back, try to get all under this tree, you know, so, yeah, look into that. see
Yeah, and I
what you
know
can do.
one of the things on the list for the people at Knox, in the neighborhood there was like a smaller pavilion in that area. But again, it's like I always say, it's trying to find donors or grants that match that particular project. So we keep a little list of what the projects are that we want to do, and when things come up, we're lucky to have Kim to kind of help us write grants and talk to our donors about
Just
it.
let us know, because we're willing to put our money where our mouth is, and
Okay.
certainly, a few of the churches mentioned that too. If you could find something.
To match
So,
it.
yeah, they'd be glad to do that. So it's not a weird, you know, so I don't want tick for tat.
Yeah.
It's just, it's the right thing to do to provide some shade. It's like it's in the middle of the desert. Yeah. Thank you.
No problem.
Thank you, Mayor Rep.
Madam Mayor,
Councilmember Harris has a question.
Mayor Rep, on this item here, one thing I did notice, and it really stood out under the conceptual design that you give us in our information stuff, the conceptual design that you demonstrated on there in comparison to the figure eight that you look like you have planned next to the parking lot, I just wanted to say I like the conceptual design a lot better than a figure eight. So I think it's a good idea. It'd be nice if we had something here to show the public, because it's kind of a neat, the whole process is a neat idea, but the conceptual design with the trikes for the kids thing is phenomenal.
Once we get a little bit firmed up on the plan, we'll have a
There'll be a
map,
kickoff.
yeah, for
One
everybody.
of the things that's been such a great project to work with National Rec and Parks Association and the Walt Disney Company is they're very big on volunteers. And we had an opportunity to put this in, like with 2-day notice. So we had to throw a couple of designs at them to see what they liked. They liked it all, and now we need to go back and, as you say, kind of refine that a little bit. And then we'll have a proper kickoff with the plans out there for the community to see.
Kim, off the top of your head, how many grant dollars have you won through your grant writing in the last year and a half? Do you have a rolling total of how much money you brought in?
No, I don't. I shouldn't I?
probably-
It's well north of $500,000, I believe now.
Yeah, I would say it's $500,000.
About between $500,000 and $700,000 in grant dollars that you've brought in with your. Thank you so much for that. It's a lot
Thank
of
you.
work.
It's been a lot of fun.
She's been just sitting in the back, part-time, writing these grants, and it's been the most profitable part-time employee we've ever had, so.
So helpful. It's, the cool thing too about this is, I mean, it's us and Detroit, we're the only two in the state of Michigan that were awarded this, and I think that's pretty cool.
Very good.
Yeah, it's good.
Mayor Rep,
Councilmember Warden.
I have to echo
Yeah.
Mayor Pro Tem Ashford too. We get these, the grants that you guys are so great at getting, and, I just like to see some more of this type of thing on some of the other parks or south side area. We need to start focusing on there if we can. I don't know if you've submitted some already for trying to get some approval, but
Keep in mind,
Yeah.
I mean, and again, it takes some time. I mean, when we came on board, we hadn't worked on the park system in quite some time, but in the last couple of years, I mean, we put all new equipment at Lincoln, which is, I think, looking pretty good right now. Knoxfield got the splash pad, but, we obviously are not done. That was our first step. And then also the Audrey Pack Park got a brand new playscape as well. And, so we are inching our way around the city. It may seem like there's a ton of grants out there, and there are some, but it's going to take a little bit of time, unfortunately. I'm the same as you. I would like to be able to, but we got to take it little by little. So we'll keep looking, though.
thank you.
Thank you. We'll take the vote.
Councilmember Warden,
Yes.
Councilmember Archibald,
Yes.
Councilmember Ashford,
Yes.
Councilmember Harris,
Yes.
Councilmember Lamb,
Yes.
Councilmember Ruiz.
Yes.
Mayor Rep.
Yes. Item 4, please.
Authorizing distribution of the proposed master plan amendments to the public and adjacent communities for their review and comments as outlined in the Michigan Planning Enabling Act of 2008.
Is there a motion?
So move.
Mayor Pro Tem Ashford, is there a second?
Second.
Excuse me. Councilmember Archibald. Is there discussion?
Mayor Rep.
Councilmember Warden.
Yeah, I have some concerns on this. First of all, I want anybody, and here even today, or yesterday, I thought it would be in our packet for us to review it, but we actually had to go online to go try to find and print this thing off. So I would appreciate actually if we would get it sent to us in at least digital, send it by email, this the full draft for us to look at rather than us have to go pull it. With this master plan update, it's been an ongoing process, and I just think the people need to know that they need to take a look at this thing. There are some proposed, changes, which we just had a Parks and Rec millage that just went through, and there's a potential which I think sends a clear message not to change Parks and Rec land and locations, and this potential master plan update has a changed future land use map on River Street, right at the marina, that is Parks and Rec land, that they're changing to multifamily orange. And I think it's something that everybody needs to know about, get it out there and give some feedback, because it's something that to me is going to be definitely a hot topic here, and we need to really take the vote that we had for the millage to heart up here, and we should be protecting our Parks and Rec land, not putting it out there for a potential development. But go to that website, it's www.porthuron.org, masterplan.pdf, and somehow get it out there, and that future land use map will show that change. And I think the more feedback we can get, the better. And I just have to say that that's something that it's now come to here. It's gone through the process, and we now need to make sure everybody's involved where it's at right now so they can have a good view. So, thank you.
Thank you. Is there any other discussion?
Mayor, if I may, in addressing that same situation, it's a matter of, once again, the millage did speak to reiterate what I said before, and that is that that decision about where we do with our monies and as they come in is our obligation. And we are going to look at it as we do all items, and we're going to look at it with knowing that we'll get feedback via the Times Herald when they have talkback, or it can be phone calls, it can be anything. But that's our challenge, is we take those monies and we look at it, and I trust that the general public trusts us now in terms of that's the challenge, not necessarily it's trust, it's like the challenge. And that is, we'll do that as we have in the past. And I appreciate someone suggesting that we look at it to see what's on there. But again, that's our purpose of sitting up here and taking that information and dealing with it. And always knowing that there's always a chance of change as long as it's discussed and looked at with clear eyes. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Ruiz. Is there any other discussion?
I have a question about the process, the timing of this, of what time frame, how many meetings do we have for citizens to give feedback before this comes to, what's the next step?
David Haynes is, I think, preparing to answer that.
Good evening, Mayor Rep and Mayor Pro Tem Ashford.
Oh, wow. Now you get, hey!
Nice job.
All right. Part of the process has been, we've had meetings with the Planning Commission, meetings with stakeholders, workshops. We are now entering into, with your approval, the public audience portion or the public input portion of this process. At this point, we'll be inviting their comments and their suggestions. As you just mentioned, we have the documents made available online. We're going to have also the documents available at the public library, also through the county planning group as well. So this is the opportunity for the citizens to come forward and let us know what they're thinking.
As a planning commission they're supposed to respond to, or are they supposed to be responding to us?
They can respond directly to me if they would like.
So
and
what?
we'll be glad to hear any of their input.
So it'll come back to the planning commission, the feedback?
Yes.
And then you guys will eventually have a meeting and then discuss and see about voting and final approval? Is that 60 days, 30 days?
It's a minimum of 42 days.
Okay.
By statute. And at that point, then, any of the suggestions and revisions are put in front of the Planning Commission, and at that time, it's their prerogative then to approve the final draft.
Okay. So planning commission first, then it comes to us.
It will come to you, it is their decision by statute. It will come before you as a recommended support and having your blessing.
And still public comment for, time frame for us?
The public comment will take place during the Planning Commission, and there will be a public audience during that time.
So we won't have one at city council
Only your normal public audience.
for feedback for that? Okay. All right, thank you.
Madam Mayor, if I could, I just want to note that there's nothing in the master plan that calls for giving away the marina. And I want to also reiterate that all of our waterfront property in the city of Port Huron cannot be sold, developed, or given away without a vote of the citizens per our city charter. And so our land is protected. It's not like there's something that we're just going to give it away. So before anything's ever done, we would go to the citizens for a vote per our city charter. It's protected.
Correct.
Mayor, if I could just to clarify, because I'm not sure that was very clear, both to Councilmember Warden and to the public, it is the Planning Commission who has the final authority to approve the master plan, not the City Council. And so they then will send it to City Council simply for support. If City Council chooses not to support it, it still is the Planning Commission's decision. If they pass it, it still has passed.
So very important to get feedback to the planning commission. Take a look at that plan.
Thank you.
Thank you.
David. We will take the vote.
Councilmember Archibald.
Yes.
Councilmember Ashford.
Yes.
Councilmember Harris.
Yes.
Councilmember Lamb.
Yes.
Councilmember Ruiz.
Yes.
Councilmember Warden.
No.
Mayor Rep.
Yes. Resolution 5, please.
Adopting an adjustment to the overtime parking violation fine.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Councilmember Archibald, is there a second? Second. Councilmember Lamb, is there discussion?
Madam Mayor, I'd like to have Chief Baker explain the reasoning for the change, if you would allow that.
Good evening, Mayor Rep, Pro Tem Ashford, City Council. Yeah, simply what we're doing here is we've went over our parking fines, and we're out of citation books, so we need to order new ones. And so we went through, I had my staff go and review all of them, take a look at them. Simply, we're asking for two different fines to be changed. They're initially $5 right now, and we're asking that they be increased to $10. That's simply to reflect what's going on out in the climate. Our staff that deals with people at the counter receives feedback that people see that it's only a $5 fine, and they'd rather just take their chance, leave their car parked there. If they get a citation, they'll deal with it. If not, no big deal, it's only $5. So we're not looking to take a huge bite out of it and raise it to something enormous, but we think $10 would be fair for both these two, which is the metered parking and the zone parking.
Makes sense.
Did you compare with other communities that have fines as to what they charge?
Absolutely, it's still low. There's other communities that are higher than that have a lot bigger parking issues, but certainly we want to protect our downtown area and allow for those facilities that need people coming and going, that sort of thing, and protect that from people that will sit there and park their car there all day.
Correct. Any discussion from council?
Yeah, Mayor Rep.
Councilmember Warden.
Parking ticket, where it stands right now for the street, in the streets, or if you're at a meter, downtown or in the neighborhoods. What is the parking, is it 2 hours now in certain areas like downtown? And I see some guys marking tires and that, the feedback is, what is the ticket amount for that if you go past the 2 hours?
Yeah, that's specifically what we're talking about here. There's two different citations we're asked to be increased from $5 to $10, and that is metered parking and then the timed parking. just two different things.
So the total ticket the person's going to have is going to be $10
Would be $10.
if they park a lot more than 2 hours?
Correct.
If they go out to dinner, there's no meters there. They go out to dinner, then they go to the Sperry's for a 2-hour movie, and then they come back out and they got a $10 ticket?
That would be correct.
Okay.
If they parked in those areas, there's other areas that they can park for longer times.
Okay. I just, and is that's the only change you're asking for, is that, to raise it up to $10?
That's correct.
I think one thing that I just got to give feedback, and it's luckily that over many, many years it's shared, grandparents, parents, you name it, from downtown. We had a robust downtown. We also had all kinds of parking restrictions and parking meters, and everything got put into there. And then it got to be such a point that people were so upset over getting tickets or the parking issue that it had such a negative feedback. And I'm just speaking on behalf of, we now are in this resurgence here. It's inviting, let them come in, let them park up and down, even over to Grand River, you name it. We'll figure it out before it's too big of a negative of people coming in town and say, I can't believe it, I went out to dinner, went there, and I got a ticket poured here, and I'm never coming back. That's the concern. I know on the public safety side, you need to figure out how to move it, but I think for the rest of the city council members, we need to be careful of what the process that we're doing here with the tickets and parking downtown, because we may inadvertently create a barrier to all this positive, which is not needed. So I really am kind of against any increases of fines because there isn't even a meter they can go out and put in additional quarter, and I don't think we need more meters, because that's even a bigger problem, and then we have to hire people to go collect in that. So I just wanted to ask what that is.
And if I may, though, we've had several people that have businesses downtown that need that turnover of parking,
I do understand
that sort of thing, and we get complaints from them saying that they have people that come down, they'll park their car all day, and they don't have access to those parking spots.
Yeah.
So there is long-term parking downtown. If someone wants to come to watch a movie, there's other parking lots where they can
Yeah.
extend their time.
And I'm a big proponent of with that petition of 500 or 600 business owners and people that said, hey, we want to be involved in the parking. We're front line, and even at some of our meetings, our goals and objectives, and over time, I really think there needs to be a parking, some type of formal or informal parking committee that we have involved with the business owners and give direct feedback, because they're the ones front line that have the patrons know what's going on and have a good input rather than just individually having to come here or try to call the city manager. So I'd like to see something like that officially started here soon, so that we have a good group directly, that they feel comfortable to give feedback and have an input, so that we do manage this wave correctly. So thank you.
Madam Mayor, if I could, in our parking lots, we provide long-term parking in the McMorran parking lots, in West Quay, our Grand River lots. The city provides ample amount of long-term parking, so if you want to go to Sperry's and watch a movie for 2 hours and have dinner like my wife and I do all the time, there's plenty of parking for that. We have, I believe it's about once a month, all the business owners in the downtown meet to talk about these issues with our DDA director. I'm not sure if you've ever attended one. And the biggest issue we have with business owners is saying, on the 2-hour parking in front of our business, we need those to turn over. If you're going to go and watch a movie for 2 hours and be there for 3 or 4 hours, you need to park in one of the parking lots, not lock up a spot in front of a business where someone could pull up and do their business and leave. And so this really, the 2-hour parking, is being driven by the downtown business owners who are meeting with us on a regular basis. You're more than welcome to attend these meetings. I know you own a building downtown. And so they're asking for this, and so this is really trying to accommodate the feedback we're getting from our businesses. We do have a committee that meets to discuss parking. That's already established. We do reach out to the business community, and this is us trying to do what works for them, because we have issues right now when you park for 4 hours in front of a downtown business and they can't get consumers to pick up their goods and services and dinner when there's long-term parking directly behind available. It's unfair to the businesses. So this is really a responsive measure that the business community is asking for. And I would encourage you to reach out and attend those meetings that are held to hear from them directly.
I hear constantly. I get a lot of feedback from everybody. So, but yeah, we need to set up an official parking program for long-term that involves everybody, and make them feel involved, because it'll make it more successful if you have everybody buying into it. So maybe it's something we need to work on right away.
Is there any other discussion from council on this item? We'll take the vote.
Councilmember Ashford?
Yes.
Councilmember Harris?
Yes.
Councilmember Lamb?
Yes.
Councilmember Ruiz?
Yes.
Councilmember Warden?
No.
Councilmember Archibald?
Yes.
Mayor Rep?
Yes. Item 6, please.
Confirming and approving single lot assessments for fines assessments and/or the cost of removing blight, blighting factors, and/or causes of blight, as well as abatement of nuisances.
Is there a motion?
So move.
Support. Okay. Mayor Pro Tem Ashford, supported by Councilmember Archibald. Any discussion?
Mayor Rep,
Councilmember Harris.
I'd just like to point out a couple of things that are on here. I noticed there's quite a list, maybe 20 or 30 houses that we've put assessments on, but I look at 216 15th Street, which has accumulated fines of about $4,600 already, and going by there, because it's in the neighborhood and stuff, it still doesn't have porch railings, it still doesn't have step railings, the steps are uneven, and, it just seems like a never-ending evil process, and even though these fines are mounting up, we're still not making a resident safe. And the other thing, I think it's down in the second page of these ones, 602 14th Street, we're citing them for cleaning up that site. And I think I go back about 2 years ago, I brought it to this council that that was a demolition property that was never properly backfilled. And at the same time, I brought up about 1116 Barney Street and 1412 Well Street, which were corrected. Lenny come in here, and he found out that was going on, and we did correct the one on Barney Street and the one on Well Street. But the one at 602 14th, that property is still not backfilled properly. And I can see why the person that owns the property hasn't been able to do it, because you basically need a John Deere tractor. It's that bad, and I would wish before we chase after these people for more money that we go out and look at it and find out. I don't know who did the demolition, but they didn't backfill properly. It's sad, but that was the reason for bringing that up, and I just think it's something that should be brought to attention, and maybe we can get the right people to pay for it.
Is there anything that can be added to that from Lenny, or?
I think we're going to go out and do a site inspection before we comment on it.
Okay.
We appreciate Councilman Harris bringing that to our attention.
Is it something we should go ahead with or now, or?
Yeah. I think you can go ahead with the whole thing, but you can't separate that one. According to Robert's rule, you could
Well, you can
separate that
separate one out if
Yeah,
there's one
and,
that's of question.
based upon him.
Yes, you can.
Yeah, so why don't you just do that instead of holding it up?
Well, I think what it would do is just have a motion to remove it from the list.
Yeah, that's the
Because
same thing.
otherwise you're going to be turning it
Yeah.
down or accepting it, and you don't
Is that
want
what
to
you
do
wanna do?
that.
Yeah, why don't you do that? Yeah, okay.
Just have it removed, if
Right.
somebody wants to make a motion to amend it and have it removed from the
Okay,
list.
a friendly, whatever, yeah.
And that's the one at, the address again, please?
602 14th Street.
602 14th
It's a
Street.
vacant property now.
Correct. So that motion for an amendment is by Mayor Pro Tem Ashford. Is there a second to that?
Support.
Councilmember Archibald supports that, and it would be in 2 votes. So one is to vote to remove it from the list, to amend it to remove that from the list, and that is what we'd be voting on right now.
Councilmember Harris?
Yes.
Councilmember Lamb?
Yes.
Councilmember Ruiz?
Yes.
Councilmember Warden?
Yes.
Councilmember Archibald?
Yes.
Councilmember Ashford?
Yes,
Mayor Rep?
Yes. Now you have before you that amended resolution, which does not include 602 14th Street. And we do have an original motion on the floor for that one, I do believe. So we will take the vote.
Councilmember Lamb?
Yes.
Councilmember Ruiz?
Yes.
Councilmember Warden?
Yes.
Councilmember Archibald?
Yes.
Councilmember Ashford?
yes.
Councilmember Harris?
Yes.
Mayor Rep?
Yes. And we are done with the resolutions at that point, I do believe. So we will go to ordinance number 1.
Second reading and enactment, an ordinance to amend Chapter 52 zoning, Article 1 in general, and Article 3 district regulations of the Port Huron Code of Ordinance to allow dormitories as a principal permitted use in the CBD zoning district.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Member Archibald, is there a second?
Second.
Councilmember Ruiz. Is there discussion?
Mayor Rep,
Councilmember Warden.
last meeting, and I gave you guys all a copy of this, because last meeting I just expressed some concerns. It's not about any particular business that came before the Planning Commission, which I'm a resident and I like to attend. I'm not part of the Planning Commission process, but they usually are scheduled to meet the first Tuesday of the month. And I'm a big believer as a civic-minded to make sure anybody in the public has the ability to take a look, see what meetings are, and be able to come down and be aware of it. And as that meeting fell on July 4th was the observation of the Independence Day, all the city offices were closed. I actually took a look, and I was trying to look on our City of Port Huron website, which is the home page there, and it has See the Meeting Calendar. It's a little tab which you click on, and then it goes right to the calendar of events of upcoming meetings. And I was watching that at the end of June, and finally toward the end of, or first part of July, I went ahead and did a print shot of which I've included in this packet. I've done a print shot of the actual home page on July 2nd, July 3rd, July 4th, July 5th, and July 6th. And on that screenshot, it actually shows not only the home page, and it also shows the calendar of events, and it never had the Planning Commission on the schedule for July 5th meeting, and you'll see that in your thing. So I wanted, for the record, I wanted to show you that. This last meeting I was here, I was trying to express some concern because I didn't know when the Planning Commission meeting actually was held. Because of the Tuesday, it was closed, and I was not aware of it being on the 5th. And I simply wanted to make sure that we, as City Council, that we make sure that we do look out for the public and make sure that we do look out for that ability for them to rely on that site to be able to attend meetings. And the concern I had is that maybe it was an assumed response, but the response that I had when I brought that up is that it absolutely, and that it was a 15-day notice, and it was put out there, and even hearing some information that was, yes, it was on the city website, correct, and all the items and agenda. And I wanted to make sure you guys are aware, I'm not nuts, I'm not crazy. It was not on there. If I can't find it on there, I have a hard time when being told that, yes, it was on there at a city council meeting in response. And I did double check, and I did print it off, and it's there, and you'll see the highlighted dates of the exact dates that I actually printed off. I went there every day, and it was not on there on the city calendar. Now, maybe it was there for a notice or public notice or the other legal things. I just think if we have the ability, the public needs to know, they can go there to see what meetings are upcoming so they can attend it and be aware of it. That's something that I'm very concerned about, and I'm very concerned about that it kind of was more of a dismissal that yes, it was, and assumed, and it wasn't. So I'm on the record making sure that we aren't getting in any trouble here, or potentially that the public needs to have proper notice, and if that's the route that the public relies on, it needed to be on that City of Port Huron website and on that calendar, and it wasn't. So we need to really improve on that, whoever was responsible, and also to make sure that when we do raise a question to that, I would hopefully have that response. Maybe we should be looking into it instead of just moving on to see what maybe might have happened or how to improve on that. So that's why I did this. I want to make sure I please file it there for you can take a look and see. And that's my concern here as City Council, because we need to be able to depend on those responses, and if we bring up something of a concern, we need to actually all hopefully consider it, because it's not always just an opinion thing. It's more of a process thing that we have to look out for others. So I don't know the next step except for letting us as City Council, we need to know about it. I don't know what we should do about it or look into it, but it definitely was not there and not available, and we need to improve on that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Madam Mayor, if I could just point out, since I was quoted here in this handout, Councilman Warden, I responded to you in I believe my exact words were that we have complied with the Open Meetings Act in our posting. I would encourage you to read the Open Meetings Act, which designates our front lobby. We have a bulletin board out there where we post all of our meetings in compliance with the Open Meetings Act. It's very specific about public postings and having it available to the public. All of our meetings we had complied with the Open Meetings Act with public postings and public notifications. That's what I was referring to. I'm not sure about the online calendar. I will tell you that it was legally on the board in the lobby for all of our citizens to know about, where we are designate that under the Open Meetings Act as our public posting location for any hearing and meetings we have. And the reason why we do that is so the citizens know if you ever want to know what's going on in the city, you can go and see it on our board where all of our postings and all of our meetings are there in compliance with state and federal law.
Yeah.
And that's what I was referring to, and I stand by
I believe
that.
practice would always be that the meetings are held the day after a holiday, as our council meetings are as well, because our council meeting falls sometimes on Memorial Day, and the practice has always been that the meeting would be held.
The council meetings are all on there.
And
The other meetings are on that calendar. This one was not on there. I just need to make sure we are aware of that.
It is in the lobby, I'm sure.
Well, it needs to be on that city website.
Mayor Rapp, I would also like to clarify that the question asked at the last city council meeting was the public notice put out there, not was it on the calendar?
Well, you can look at the
So
video.
it wasn't dismissed. It was there a public notice? The public notice was posted in the lobby where it's supposed to be. Your question was not specifically, was it put on the calendar? So I take issue that it
107
was just dismissed.
I don't know why you're making a big deal, because the 107-minute mark, everybody can go watch it. And you'll see the response. I'm just concerned about not having the feedback, or having the feedback saying that it is on there, and I think we need to get this corrected.
Well, I think at this point, it has obviously been where it is. So, I mean, it is posted legally, whether it's on the calendar and somebody slipped up by not putting it on the online calendar, that's not it's not like a legal
I know it's not
problem.
legal, I just think we need to make sure we look out for the public on this
Well, I
thing.
think that in most cases we do, and we certainly do try, but people do make mistakes.
Okay.
So, yes, and David Haynes would like to say something, so I'll invite him up here.
Council, where you would see it, and I can't speak to the event calendar, but we do have the agenda tracker, and it was on the agenda tracker. That's where the public can go, and they can actually view any of the agendas that are coming forward, whether it be for City Council, the Planning Commission, the Historic District Commission, ZBA. All of those are listed on the website, along with any of the documents that are being attached along with the agenda, so you can see their actual packets that will be presented, and that packet was available.
So it's on the city council agenda site,
It's on that site, correct.
not on the, yeah,
I can't speak to the event calendar, but I can speak
I
to
think
the...
it should be. And
we
it has
dir-
been there prior, and it is now. So, thank you.
But I appreciate you bringing that to our attention, and we'll
Yes.
definitely check both areas to make sure they're published.
Yeah.
Thank you, David. Is there any discussion on the item itself? We'll take the vote.
Councilmember Ruiz?
Yes.
Councilmember Warden?
Yes.
Councilmember Archibald?
Yes.
Councilmember Ashford?
Yes.
Councilmember Harris?
Yes.
Councilmember Lamb?
Yes.
Mayor Rapp?
Yes, we'll go on to item 2 under ordinances, please.
Second reading and enactment. An ordinance to amend Chapter 52 zoning, Article 1 in general, Section 52-3, definitions A through I, definition of family, of the Port Huron Code of Ordinance, be amended for the purpose of allowing a maximum of 2 non-related individuals to live in a dwelling unit. Administration recommends council reject the current version of this ordinance. The matter will then be referred back to the Planning Commission for further review.
Before I ask for a motion, actually, you don't need to reject it. What you just need to do is make a motion to refer the item back to the Planning Commission for further review. So with
So
that in
moved.
mind,
Yep, so moved.
Mayor Pro Tem Ashford, and a second,
Second.
Councilmember Archibald. This is to refer it back to Planning Commission, take no action.
Madam Mayor, I just want to say that we appreciate your feedback in the last council meeting. I think all the concerns you brought up were valid, and we didn't have good answers for them. And if we don't have good answers for them, then it shouldn't be brought forward. And so I direct the administration to put out that recommendation. We'll take it back to the Planning Commission, and we'll do a better job.
Thank you. Yes,
Mayor Rapp?
yes, Councilmember Warden.
Yeah, just, this is the definition of the family, with 2 non-related, yeah, send it back to the drawing board. So what we're doing here is, we're completely just sending it back to Planning Commission to go back to the drawing board and start over?
Correct.
Okay, That needs to be done.
Yep.
Thank you.
That's what we're voting on, is just send it back to them to start all over.
Yep, cool.
We'll take the vote.
Councilmember Warden?
So again, we're voting, is this changing that we're,
Changes nothing that's in, all we're doing is sending it back to the planning commission for them to review the
we're
item.
voting yes to send it back?
Planning commission.
Okay, so a yes is to send it back?
Yes.
Thank you.
Councilmember Warden?
Yes.
Councilmember Archibald?
Yes.
Councilmember Ashford?
Yes.
Councilmember Harris?
Yes.
Councilmember Lamb?
Yes.
Councilmember Ruiz?
Just to make clear, we are sending this back to the planning commission, is that correct?
Correct.
Yes.
Mayor Rep?
I'm not going to go there.
Must be
Yes.
something in the water.
We're getting punch happy. Yes. We'll move on to ordinance number 3.
First reading, an ordinance to amend Chapter 52 zoning, Article 3, District Regulations, Division 1 generally, Section 52-162, map of the Port Huron Code of Ordinances for the purpose of rezoning the property generally described as the south one half of 1915 22nd Street, 2217 Bancroft Street, 1922 23rd Street, and the south one half of 1914 23rd Street from an M1 zoning district to an R1 zoning district.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Support.
Thank you, both of you. And is there discussion?
Mayor Rep,
Councilmember Harris.
I'm kind of remiss that I didn't bring my packet up on the master plan, but I thought the new master, or the proposed master plan, wants us to resist spot zoning, and does this or not kind of violate what we're trying to move forward to?
Here we have David again.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but I could have swore I read something that we were trying to get away from the spot zoning and in the new master plan, and this kind of says, well, let's do it now before the new master plan gets here.
No, that's a very good point. This is a revision that was actually brought forward by the property owner to the very southern end of, on the Bancroft. She had purchased the property. The property had been empty for over 6 months, so it had to go from a residential to an M1 industrial use. And when looking at the property and some of the surrounding properties that actually were bisected between the two zones, which if you were going for financing, it can create a hardship in trying to get bank approval. But for the very reason you just said, we would not go forward with the rezoning of just her property. She went out and got support for the rezoning for the properties to the north of her and also to the northwest or northeast, for the very same reason that she was looking for the rezoning. By her doing that and the proposal of now encompassing more properties, we now are contiguous to the R1 zone, and that avoids the spot zone.
Oh, okay. So it's basically the public taking a step forward and, okay.
Solving the problem.
Good, thank you. Yep.
Thank you for your explanation. Any other questions?
Mayor Rep.
Councilmember Warden, don't run away, David.
Yeah. Just, was there a notice sent out to the surrounding business and homeowners?
Yes.
On this, and was there any feedback from any of them that was against it or a concern?
Not against it, but did not want to participate. There was an opportunity for some other, there's another residential piece on the corner, but that person chose not to be included in the rezoning. They probably thought maybe for a future use, they maybe would want the M1 zone.
Thank you.
Thank you. We will take the vote.
Councilmember Archibald?
Yes.
Councilmember Ashford?
Yes.
Councilmember Harris?
Yes.
Councilmember Lamb?
Yes.
Councilmember Ruiz?
Yes.
Councilmember Warden?
Yes.
Mayor Rem?
Yes, that concludes our regular agenda. I do have a couple of announcements. The city offices will be closed on September the 4th for Labor Day. The annual 911 Remembrance Ceremony will be held on September the 11th at 9 a.m. at the International Flag Plaza. It'll also be the date of our next council meeting that same evening at 7 p.m. on September the 11th. I guess I would also like to just give a plug to encourage people to go to the Rockin' on the River. First two have been very successful, and there's 2 more Thursday nights left, and we hope for no rain. And I don't know that Nancy can do the rain dance, but maybe,
Oh,
maybe.
Lord.
She's got a good one.
Anyways,
Rico can do it on the
I was going to
lawn.
say, or maybe Rico.
No, she didn't.
Anyways. And then also, this is something I brought to the council's attention a while ago by passing along an email with SEMCOG is currently developing their 2045 Regional Transportation Plan for Southeast Michigan. They are asking for the public to be involved and to go online and participate in their survey, give their opinions. It's a really easy survey to take, and it's very informative. There is a lot to do about our key regional transportation trends, walking, biking, traffic safety, changing demographics, environment, funding, transportation technology, freight and border crossings, traffic congestion, funding, a whole lot of areas, and they're asking the public's opinion on that. Would like you to go on their website, which is SEMCOG, SEMCOG, which is Southeast Michigan Council of Governments, and it's semcog.org. It's easy to find, and you can go on and take that survey and help them have some input. As well, they are also having public outreach meetings in each county in our district, and St. Clair County is having one on Monday, September the 11th at the Dodge Auditorium over at the County Administration Building. From one of them is 1 to 2:30 p.m. and the other one's 6 to 7:30 p.m. So I just wanted to make that announcement if anyone was interested in participating in what they're trying to get as far as input. Also, I guess I would ask the city manager, because this is, Mr. Kelly has patiently sat through the meeting, and I have received correspondence from him as well as Mr. Freed, and I've actually been out there and heard and seen the trucks. So I know that we've been trying to work with the paper company, but I think we need to step it up a little bit. I agree, it's very disruptive to their neighborhood, and we do need to follow up, if you would, please.
Yep, we have followed up. The DEQ has developed a work plan with Domtar, so they're having an issue. It's quite evident with their process. It's in a precarious position for us. If we shut down their process, it shuts down their factory. There's hundreds of moms and dads out there who depend on that income to support their families. I don't want to see them laid off because we arbitrarily shut them down. The DEQ has requested that they develop a plan of action to address their issue. They've been testing different methods. The DEQ is not going to allow this to continue as well. So they are going to have to find a long-term solution. I believe they're coming to the close of that window. Lenny has been working, meeting with the company representatives on that to develop their plan of action, what the solution is going to be in the long term. So it is annoying what you guys are going through. We hear it, we stop by, we've all been out there. But I'm in a tough position. If we shut down the line, we shut down the plant, and those people rely on those jobs, but we also need to keep up the pressure. There needs to be a solution. So I want you to know that the state partners of the DEQ are also on board on this now, developing a work plan for a long-term answer to this, because this can't continue, and they know that.
And also, I guess I will ask you, I know that was brought up about Vision Quest, and we did not have anything on our agenda tonight. I know that there's a lot of people in the audience that have come and have come regularly, but we really don't have anything on the agenda until probably the next meeting, correct?
It'll be probably in September after the Planning Commission. So where we're at right now is we've been doing our research, meeting with stakeholders. I see Annette Mercantile with the with the county health department. She's a doctor. I am not a doctor. She knows more than I do. Deb Johnson at Community Mental Health, also a doctor. I am not a doctor, neither is David or our lawyer. And so we've been meeting with the experts to go find out what the best process is, what is the best ordinance is. So having this, wild free-for-all is not sustainable. You can't have, I've spoken before, you can't have operations operating under the law and in the dark. And so we need to bring these to light and allow them to be sustainable. And at the same time, we don't want to force them to change their program that would diminish the value of the program, just to conform to some archaic law. And so we are working on developing some draft ordinances that put together standard basic safeguards for these types of facilities that are consensus of the medical and mental health community and the recovery community. We have our task forces meeting, I believe, next week. the 24th, our task force is meeting, which is the task force of experts we have had working on our draft ordinance. I have asked that Joe Winhurst from Vision Quest be allowed to sit in on that task force meeting. He is the program director for Vision Quest. I believe that he has invaluable insights that we need during that process. So when we bring the Planning Commission a ordinance in September, we will have consulted with mental health, community health, Region 10 experts, with judges, with law enforcement, with recovery experts. This is not about Vision Quest. Vision Quest is just one of many operators, and there will be more in the future. And so this is about the recovery community, making it sustainable. The President of the United States just declared this is a national epidemic. That's old news. We already knew it was. And so how do we develop a model which can be copied across the state of Michigan? And that's really what we're going to pride ourselves in. I believe our draft ordinance I sent to council for initial review. I believe it's a good starting point. It's going to need to be refined with our task force. So we hope to have something to the Planning Commission in September and then bring it to council at the end of September.
Thank you. Is there anything else from council?
Yeah, Mayor, just briefly, on last, I think it was the last of July, that I spent a week in Chicago at an APTA conference. That's an acronym for American Public Transportation and Association. And we have these meetings annually, and it's all about transportation. I represent the city of Port Huron on the Blue Water Transportation. And as part of that, some of the highlights from that, I just wanted to share them with you because it was just so appropriate. They focus on board structure and also organization, and the board structure really hit home with me, particularly the relationship between the CEO or in your case, the manager and us as city council members, and how across the gamut here, how we misinterpret the role of the CEOs, by them being designers and how often we do get into their lane, when they actually do their jobs. I mean, it was amazing. They had live examples there, of the CEO where a person had got elected, and he just happened to be, I think he was in the finance business. Instead of getting on the board and being a part of the team, bring it to it, really all basically what we're supposed to be doing is asking questions, making sure that they are doing, we're holding them accountable. But actually, he's the one, and it should tell you, if you're only getting $50 a meeting, if he's getting 100-something thousand, that's where we should be headed. He's supposed to be doing his job. So it was very abundantly clear how they roll that out across the board. In the room, there's probably maybe about 200 or something people, and we had CEOs there, and we had other board members there. But it was just such it wasn't really an eye-opener for me, but just to see it and hear it roll out, and even, as I can remember the time when I first got elected, I was going to do all this and do that, and you can't do that, you have to work together as a team, which you all bring together and put to the table. We may not all know the same things, but it's one thing that you need to do for your public, and that is to ask the questions. And they don't, that's what the staff, their primary responsibility is do the diggings. They're the SMEs, the subject matter experts, and at some point you need to trust that. I'm not saying that you have to just take it and roll over. That's how come you have to ask the hard questions if they need to be asked. Don't ask just to be asked, and ask something that's going to be meaningful. So that was a huge part of this conference, and it was probably that because APTA. Our president and CEO resigned last year, and so we're sort of like in a transitioning state, and so they're trying to get everything right firm back together and keep us on the right track. And then we found out that Washington, the present administration, the Trump administration, they're not too friendly towards transportation. They think it should be a local problem, to finance in a state. So nothing has been done in that area, so they're still, trying to get up in there because they got so much other stuff going on in the White House, and we're trying to get in the door and we can't get in, and that's on a big scale. And the ridership, trends are down across the United States of America. People not riding the buses or the rails or whatever. That went down, and for the people here in the city of Port Huron, our ridership has went up. We're 3. I talked about that at a prior meeting. So they were gathering together to see what they could do to counter some of that kickback as to how we can get more people to, ride the buses and ride the trains and use the other different modes of transportation that we have. And then also, what's new on the agenda this time is safety, where people are, whether the buses, they're going in, they're doing some dangerous things, and so people are worried about their safety. So that is paramount with us here. And the tagline, they said, where public transit goes, the community grows. So we have been doing something very right here in the city of Port Huron. Our Blue Water Area Transportation, and I don't want to repeat myself, and I know it's the lateness of the hour, but Jim Wilson, who is our general manager, and Dave McElroy, who is the assistant general manager, and also our finance director, we have partnered with our different agencies. We're out here. Whatever you need, if you call the Blue Water Area Transit, if it has something to do with transit, they're there. They're there to serve us. And my only thing, I went to one other meeting, is why, we live in a bedroom community, everybody have cars, and some people say, well, only 2 and 3 people are on a bus, where there are peak times that the buses are filled. But just thank God that we do have the buses, we have the transportation here to make that difference. But we're trying to devise something nationwide, where we would take one day, and if people would just park their cars and take the bus, or some other different mode of transportation. So that's where we are. But this was a very learned kind of a conference. It was just a lot going on, and I forgot to say it was in Chicago. And wherever we go, we actually, of course, we know we're not Chicago, we're just little Port Huron, but we do go and we take advantage of their operations. We ride the buses, the rails, we do everything that if I was a Chicagoan or whatever they call them. So I did that. It scared me to death. Everybody was on their cell phone. I went, oh my Lord, running into each other. But it was a good convention, and as part of that, always take a report back to our Blue Water Area Transit. So it's a more comprehensive package, a little bit more detail in there. So, but that's it. I just wanted to share that with you. But if anybody wants some of those tidbits on relationships, on how to get along better with your CEO, just let me know. I'll shoot it your way.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anything else to come before council before I ask him for a motion to adjourn?
Mayor Rep, just real quick. Yep, I just wanted, last city council meeting after that, we actually had that car show downtown was, I thought, a great success and a great addition to our setup there. Was, just a wonderful thing to bring back. I think we actually had the Blue Water Fest. It turned out wonderful. And I just want to say, those type of events and the energy behind the people to organize them and bring them back, it just makes this place a wonderful town. So just want to make sure I say that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Madam Mayor, just real quickly, I'd like to say it's nice seeing Bill Gilmer here. He's here because he wants to be, not because he's getting paid, and I think that's noteworthy. Good to see you, Bill. Waiting for dinner. Oh, waiting for dinner. Oh, you are getting paid.
Waiting for dinner now. He's getting paid. Thank you. Could I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Thank you. Meeting adjourned.